Chapter 1173. Xiaoyang said coldly to Xiaochen. Then he stepped forward. The next stage tested movement techniques, which were also based on 10 points. Xiaoyang's performance in this stage was not very good. The 10th layer Thunder Fire art allowed his explosive power to far surpass that of the younger generation. However, his movement technique was much weaker. He only managed to get 7 points in this stage, barely passing the passing line. Seeing his opponent's unsatisfactory performance, Xiaochen was happy and relaxed. He held back some of his strength, using only the Great Perfection Thunder Dragon steps to obtain 8 points. Xiaochen did not have a specific goal. He just needed to obtain 1 point more than his opponent in each stage. He could not do anything about the first stage. Xiaoyang obtained 9 points. If Xiaochen did not bring out his full strength, he would not be able to surpass him. In the second stage, Xiaochen could preserve his strength. Naturally, Xiaochen chose to do so. Among the cultivators watching, Xiaochen discovered several strong existences. The auras they gave off were no weaker than Lu Yun's. Xiaochen did not know what these people were here for. If he could preserve some of his strength, he would do so, not letting others see through him. The third stage tested eyesight. There was no need to mention this stage. Xiaochen had already cultivated the Heavenly Eye. If Xiaochen opened the Heavenly Eye, even the half-step Emperor Wu would not be a match for him. He did not need to open the Heavenly Eye to deal with Xiaoyang. Xiaochen easily obtained 7 points, defeating his opponent's 6 points. It looked like the two were locked in a stalemate. Every time, it seemed like Xiaoyang had a chance to defeat Xiaochen. However, Xiaochen surpassed him by 1 point every time. After 3 stages, the gap between the two reached 3 points. Lu Yun's expression turned increasingly unsightly. At the start, Batu, whom Lu Yun looked down on, smiled more widely. The fourth stage tested practical combat. With Xiaochen's intentional control, Lu Yun finally defeated Xiaochen, defeating Xiaochen's 6 points with 7 points. After the 4 stages, Xiaochen obtained a total of 31 points, and Xiaoyang obtained 29 points. The two's total points successfully entered the top 50 of the Outstanding Talent token. Among the Heaven's Pride tokens, Xiaochen had engraved the number 30, while Xiaoyang had engraved the number 49. The numbers represented their rankings. It was clear who won and who lost the bet between Batu and Lu Yun. Everyone had already somewhat expected the final outcome from the moment Xiaochen chopped off the Iron Man's head. However, Xiaochen still could not accept it. How could a nameless person turn the tables and defeat the Thunder Fire Sovereign's descendant, Xiaoyang? Haha. Young man, you are quite ambitious. I wonder how much of your strength you will be able to bring out in the test for the Proud Son of Heaven token. The old deacon who had first tested Xiaochen's strength had keenly noticed that Xiaochen had concealed his true strength in the last few tests, so he had secretly transmitted a message to Xiaochen. Xiaochen did not pay too much attention to it. He hid his strength simply to avoid some trouble. He did not have any other ambitions. He could only say that this old deacon was thinking too much. 200 essence stones. Quickly take them out. The victor had already been decided. Batu immediately led Xiaochen to demand repayment, not giving Lu Yun any face. Lu Yun's face darkened as he tossed out 200 essence stones. He said coldly, "Let me tell you, my essence stones are not that easy to obtain. Don't run into me at the summit meeting." After saying that, Lu Yun felt that he had lost too much face, so he quickly left. Xiaoyang, who followed closely behind, glanced at Xiaochen before leaving without saying a word. Is that so? I think they are easy to obtain. Coincidentally, I lack essence stones. Many thanks, Brother Lu. Batu said loudly to Lu Yun, who had already gone far away, as he accepted the essence stones with a carefree smile on his face. Come, let's go and have a drink. This was really delightful. Batu directly handed the essence stones to Xiaochen, not showing any intention of putting them in his pocket. Then he led Xiaochen out of the city lord's residence. The commotion slowly died down. However, news of Xiaochen chopping off the metal puppet's head with one saber strike in the city lord's residence's clan affairs hall, which was unprecedented in history, would definitely spread throughout the entire Dark City in a short time. As a bladesman, Xiaochen obtained full marks in the first stage of the Outstanding Talent Tokens test, putting him on par with the half-step Emperor Wu. However, to everyone's surprise, Xiao Chen's feat in the clan affairs hall was just the beginning. Over the next few days, people continued to obtain the outstanding talent token, setting new records one after another. Furthermore, most of these people were not the local outstanding talents of Dark City. They were all outsiders, giving off the feeling that a storm was brewing. The cultivators in Dark City only reacted when the news of the start of the new Outstanding Talent Summit meeting spread. These strong outstanding talents that suddenly appeared were people from other sea domains who came to participate in the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. The originally restless Dark City immediately turned even more chaotic. Every day, there would be fierce battles between outstanding talents, trying to determine who was stronger. Among them, many of the outsiders had made a name for themselves in a series of fierce battles. This allowed people to know the names of these people in advance. Dark City was very chaotic. However, Xiaochen did not care about this chaos. He remained in the Flame Rock Fortress and anxiously repaired the dragon-subduing platform with Yu Bingyun. Xiaochen anxiously repaired the dragon-subduing platform with Yu Bingyun. Even his cultivation time was squeezed out. With the outstanding talent token, Xiaochen successfully purchased the divine materials he needed to repair the dragon-subduing platform. At the same time, he saved a large sum of black astral coins, allowing him to experience the great benefits of the outstanding talent token. Yu Bingyun did not go anywhere in Dark City. When she learned that Xiaochen wanted to repair the dragon-subduing platform, she took the initiative to offer her help. The repair was a huge project. It would be great if someone was willing to help. Xiaochen did not think too much before agreeing. On this particular day, the repair of the dragon-subduing platform reached its final stage. Batu rushed over to inform Xiaochen of a piece of news. My first brother, Ba Yan, came out of closed-door cultivation and wants to meet you. Xiaochen had heard of Batu's first brother, Ba Yan. This person was very strong and ranked among the top of the many outstanding talents in Dark City. Even that Lu Yan once suffered at Ba Yan's hands. Xiaochen had stayed in this Flame Rock Fortress for a long time. Be it out of courtesy or curiosity, Xiaochen wanted to meet this person. Xiaochen stopped what he was doing and followed Batu together with Yu Bingyun. When they arrived at a drill ground in the fortress, they saw Ba Yan exchanging moves with a senior of his clan on the drill ground. A stout man who looked somewhat similar to Batu stood on the drill ground. His entire body surged with energy. Every time he punched, there would be the sound of rocks crashing and flames surging. Every move of this man was extremely ferocious. He walked the path of opening and closing. However, these simple moves had a certain charm to them. After watching for a long time, Xiaochen discovered the profoundness behind them. Ba Yan cultivated two wills, the will of fire and the will of rock. He cultivated both wills to great perfection. Furthermore, he used an ingenious method to merge them, forming the will of flame rock unique to the flame rock sovereign's bloodline. The will of flame contained a surging, boundless explosive force and the hardness and toughness of rock. Ba Yan's opponent was a consummation blue-robed emperor of the Flame Rock Fortress. Although this was not a battle to the death, the fight was still extremely intense. Although that old man used all his means, he could not make up for it. When Batu saw this, he revealed an expression of worship. This is my first brother. When he came out of closed-door cultivation, he cultivated the flame rock art to the 10th layer. He is the most talented person in the history of our clan. When my grandfather was this young, he only cultivated the flame rock art to the 9th layer. Yu Bingyun smiled and asked, "What layer are you at now?" Batu smiled embarrassedly and replied, "Can this be a secret? I'm too embarrassed to say." Although Batu did not say it, Xiaochen could tell that Batu's flame rock art had only reached the peak of the 6th layer, not even breaking through to the 7th layer. Compared to his first brother, Batu was far from comparable. However, this was not because Batu was too weak. Batu's talent was not bad either. Rather, it was because his first brother, Ba Yan, was too strong, too dazzling. Bang! Rock and flame merged. When Ba Yan punched with a mighty might, he forced the old man back another 10 steps. The battle in the martial arts arena came to an end here, and did not continue. Haha. After first young master comes out of closed-door cultivation, You will definitely shine brightly at the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. The descendants of the other great bandits will never imagine that first young master has cultivated the flame rock art to the 10th layer. The old man who was sparring with Ba Yan said with a smile. The old man said with a smile, his face full of anticipation. Ba Yan looked as carefree as Ba Tuesday. He looked like he was in a good mood, but he appeared more cautious and reserved. Ba Yan's eyes burned with a strong fighting spirit, filled with boundless confidence. However, he did not speak confidently. Our clan's flame rock art is a peak inferior grade cultivation technique among profound cultivation techniques. Being able to cultivate it to the 10th layer is indeed a great advantage. However, it is not good to underestimate others because of this. There are no ordinary people among the descendants of great bandits. After saying that, Ba Yan dismissed the old man. Then he walked over to Xiao Chun excitedly with a smile on his face. You are the Blue Dragon King Xiao Chun that my younger brother mentioned. According to my younger brother, you are very incredible. You even chopped down that Iron Man from the Clan Affairs Hall with one strike. Let's exchange a few moves. Ba Yan's words sounded very provocative. Ba Tu quickly said, Xiao Chun, don't mind him. My older brother's temper is like this. When he sees an expert, he can't help itching for a fight. After being in closed-door cultivation for so long, he has not improved at all. It's fine. I would like to see Brother Ba Yan's martial techniques as well. Xiao Chun did not dislike such people. In fact, he was somewhat similar to them. When he saw an expert that made his eyes light up, he could not help wanting to spar with them. He wanted to see what he could learn from them and improve himself. Or perhaps, he just wanted to find an opponent for himself. If a cultivator kept cultivating behind closed doors, without having experienced hundreds of battles, they would definitely regress. Ba Yan smiled and said, It looks like we are on the same path. Let's exchange 3 moves then. Xiao Chun nodded and said, That's what I was thinking. Let's go. Before Ba Tu's and Yu Bingyun's stunned gazes, the 2 people who had just met immediately went to the drill platform, preparing to fight. A strange look flashed in Yu Bingyun's eyes. She said, Why is your elder brother looking for Xiao Chun? Could it be that he wants to spar with him? Chapter 1174. Ba Tu scratched his head and said, I'm not sure either. It seems like Big Brother received an invitation and is preparing to bring Xiao Chun along. He should be testing his strength now. As the 2 of them spoke, Xiao Chun and Ba Yan started fighting. Compared to the other cultivators, Ba Yan appeared extremely simple and crude. He did not store up any power, simply raising his hand and punching. Blazing fire, burning clouds. This move was based on the state of raging fire. The moment Ba Yan moved his feet, a surging sea of fire instantly spread out. What a shocking explosive power! The other party's explosive power slightly surprised Xiao Chun. Furthermore, there was no need for him to accumulate power at all. He could control it as he wished. Not daring to be careless, Xiao Chun's figure flashed as he executed the great perfection Thunder Dragon steps. His body became like a dragon as he took 7 steps forward. With every step he took, 1 or 2 wild lightning dragons would shoot out from beneath Xiao Chun's feet, and they would roar towards the sky while baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. After he took 7 steps, 12 berserk electric dragons flew out from behind Xiao Chun. At this moment, he instantly drew his lunar shadow saber and clashed with his opponent's punch. The auras of the 2 sides clashed, clashing head-on. The saber light and the fist light clashed, giving off a loud sound and kicking up a cloud of dust. However, when the dust settled, Xiao Chun took 5 steps back, but Ba Yan took 10 steps back. What kind of saber technique is this? It is so fast, yet it can still erupt with such might. Ba Yan appeared somewhat shocked. Xiao Chun raised his saber and stood upright. He said, Thunder Dragon Chop. I condensed the lightning tribulation saber technique that I comprehended in the past into a saber technique. I only recently comprehended it as well. It looks like it is pretty strong. Using the Thunder Dragon steps as the foundation and the lightning tribulation saber technique from before, this was a new move that Xiao Chun came up with in the Bloodsword Sovereign's cave. Without the advancement of the Thunder Dragon steps, this move would not have appeared. Looking at it now, it was indeed extraordinarily mighty. Hee interesting. Take another punch from me, conquering the world fist. This punch also obtained the will of rock, not as ferocious and explosive as the will of fire. However, the aura that Xiao Chen's fist technique revealed was even more domineering. It was as if he wanted to suppress the mountains and rivers for 5,000 kilometers with one punch. As Ba Yin soared into the air, the mysterious phenomenon of mountains and rivers appeared under his feet. With this punch, all the mountains and rivers submitted. This move was not as ferocious as before, and the aura it exuded was much weaker. However, the tyrannical aura it radiated gave Xiao Chen even greater pressure. Good timing. This move completely aroused Xiao Chen's competitive spirit. With a loud laugh, he stomped on the ground with one foot. Immediately, a cyan dragon shadow flew out from Xiao Chen's body. The 10,000 heavenly laws in his body all turned into illusory dragons. In the blink of an eye, 10,000 dragons soared into the air, roaring in unison. As Xiao Chen slashed down with his saber, he materialized the subduing dragon profound slash, forming a green saber light that reached the sky. Batu gaped and exclaimed, "Damn! He is trying to destroy the stage." Yu Bingyan also felt some shock. However, she was much calmer than Batu's day. She said indifferently, "Don't worry. It is just a simple exchange. The two of them know their limits, and will not bring out their full strength." The punch that contained the might of mountains and rivers for 5,000 kilometers struck the cyan saber light. Kasie. Cracks appeared on the surface of Ba Yan's fist, and countless specks of dust flew out. Xiao Chen's saber strike had broken Ba Yan's protective rock veritable energy. However, the might of this punch was similarly startling. A clear crack appeared in the saber light where Ba Yan's fist struck. I'm not fighting anymore. When Ba Yan saw his protective veritable energy break, he was startled and quickly retreated. When Xiao Chen looked at Xiao Chen again, he no longer dared to underestimate Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's fist subduing rivers and mountains was extremely powerful. This was the first time Ba Yan met someone in the same generation who could break his defense. Ba Yan already lost in the first move, and his protective rock veritable energy broke in the second move. If they continued fighting, he would have to use his trump card in the third move. However, Ba Yan did not intend to use his trump card so early. The two moves were very efficient, allowing the two to gain a clearer understanding of each other's strength. Although Ba Yan was slightly weaker in this exchange, he still looked as graceful as before. The first move's horrifying eruption could be executed at will. Xiao Chen circulated the Thunder Dragon steps, and took 7 steps before he managed to gain a slight advantage with the Thunder Dragon chop. The second move, fist subduing rivers, subduing mountains and rivers for 5,000 kilometers, was even more tyrannical. This was the first time someone nearly broke Xiao Chen's subduing dragon profound slash. Xiao Chen felt some anticipation for the third move. If he guessed right, the third move should merge the will of fire and the will of rock. Then he would circulate the 10th layer of the flame rock art, and execute them together to form a horrifying killing move. Xiao Chen estimated that if he perfectly executed it, it would rival a medial grade profound martial technique. Unfortunately, Ba Yan suddenly withdrew at the crucial moment. Not bad. Haha, it looks like Batu was right. You are even stronger than he described. Ba Yan walked over while laughing loudly. He did not hold any grudges because he was weaker than Xiao Chen. Instead, his eyes filled with joy. It looked like this Ba Yan was truly a battle maniac. He was the kind of cultivator who truly indulged in combat, and did not care about victory or defeat. Big brother, how is it? With Xiao Chen's strength, he can accompany you to that gathering, right? Batu asked with a smile as he walked over with Yu Bingyan. Ba Yan nodded and said, "Naturally he can. However, brother Xiao Chen has to be willing first." Xiao Chen felt somewhat confused as he asked, "What gathering?" Ba Yan took out an invitation and smiled. "I don't know who initiated it, but it's a small gathering for the successors of the 13 Great Bandits. I received it the moment I came out of closed-door cultivation. It should be someone who wants to test the might of my fist. I don't think I'm a descendant of a great bandit," Xiao Chen said with a frown. He felt that this gathering had nothing to do with him. Ba Yan smiled and said, "How can you not figure it out? Even an uncouth person like me knows that this gathering is a test of strength before the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. Tell me, does it have anything to do with you? Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. It was the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting again. Xiaochen had already heard these words several times. However, he had been busy repairing and rebuilding the dragon-subduing platform, so he did not know what the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting was. Could it be that you still do not know what the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting is after being in Dark City for so long? Seeing that Xiaochen still had a somewhat confused expression, Ba Yan and Ba Tu both showed surprised expressions. Xiaochen smiled embarrassedly and said, I really do not know about this Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. I came to Dark City for another matter. I am preparing to leave 3 days later. Ba Tu, tell him about it. I thought that he was here for the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. Ba Tu thought for a while and organized his words. Then he said, the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting is jointly held by the factions of the 13 Great Bandits. The purpose of this is to promote competition between the various outstanding talents. It is held once every 5 years, and it is like a test. Anyone with an outstanding talent token can register. The competition is intense and cruel. The top 10 will all receive rewards. The top 3 will receive the most valuable rewards. They will all receive varying amounts of essence stones. The first place will receive a medial grade profound martial technique, and a chance to enter the dark blood pool to strengthen the physical body. Essence stones? A medial grade profound martial technique. A light flashed in Xiaochen's eyes. These 2 items held a fatal attraction to any blue-robed emperor. No wonder the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting was so attractive. This also explained why he saw so many cultivators from the foreign seas coming to apply for an Outstanding Talent token at the City Administration Hall. What do you think? Do you still think that this small gathering has nothing to do with you? Ba Yan said with a smile. It is very difficult for those who rely on connections to get in. Even if Ba Tu wanted to go, I would not bring him. The ones going this time will definitely be the strongest of the Great Bandits' descendants. Without sufficient strength, you will only be humiliated. Xiaochen quickly made his decision. He said seriously, many thanks, Brother Ba Yan. When are we leaving? Good. Let's go now then. After being in closed-door cultivation for more than half a year, my bones have already turned soft. It is time to meet up with those old friends. Ba Yan's eyes blazed with fighting spirit as he put away the invitation letter and led Xiaochen away. Before leaving, there were still some finishing touches to the dragon-subduing platform's repairs. So, Xiaochen could only ask Yu Bingyan to help. Fortunately, Yu Bingyan did not reject it, happily accepting it. However, Xiaochen found it strange. Given Yu Bingyan's strength, she should be able to participate in the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. However, she did not seem interested. With Ba Yan leading the way, the 2 flew around the city without any fear. With the Outstanding Talent token in hand, they completely ignored the rules of Dark City that prohibited flying. Along the way, Ba Yan was very talkative. Perhaps it was because of their bloodline, but the descendants of the Flame Rock Sovereign were rather carefree, not holding back when they spoke. Xiaochen, what exactly is the relationship between you and the Holy Daughter? Thanks to you, this is the first time the Lunar Palace's Holy Daughter has come to our Flame Rock Castle as a guest. Ba Yan was no different from Ba Tu in this aspect. They were both very gossipy. Helpless, Xiaochen could only give a solemn explanation. However, Ba Yan still did not believe him. Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. We have arrived. After traveling for a long time, the 2 arrived before a restaurant in the inner city. The restaurant gave off a strange aura. Its frame felt exceptionally sturdy. This is the famous Conflagration restaurant of Dark City. The entire restaurant is made of divine materials. Furthermore, there are restrictions laid on it. Even if a battle breaks out in there, it will not damage the restaurant. It is the favorite place of the Black Sea cultivators. Ba Yan had been to the Conflagration restaurant several times before, so he was familiar with the place. Ba Yan strode in, and the originally noisy hall immediately fell silent. Nearly everyone's gazes focused on him. Damn. This battle maniac came out of closed-door cultivation. Hurry up and leave. After holding it in for more than half a year, I wonder who he will vent his anger on. A moment of panic appeared in the hall. The messy tables immediately opened up a path for Ba Yan. Xiaochen laughed hoarsely and said, "It looks like you are quite famous in this place." Ba Yan's lips curled up as he said, "How boring. I still miss the first time I came here. Back then, I fought to my heart's content. Now the Black Sea cultivators are becoming increasingly cowardly." The location of the gathering was on the second floor of the Conflagration restaurant. Someone had already reserved the entire place. Without an invitation, one could not enter. Chapter 1175. After handing over the invitation, the two of them walked in smoothly. Compared to the bustling hall, the second floor was much quieter. The two did not arrive early. Several young cultivators were already seated in the seats that had been cleared. The instant Xiaochen stepped onto the second floor, he immediately felt several sharp gazes directed at him. There were many familiar faces here. Lu Yun and Xia Yang were here. It looked like they had been here for a long time. What surprised Xiaochen was that Jiang Feng, whom he met at Blackwater Island, was here as well. After not seeing Jiang Feng for some time, Jiang Feng's strength had increased very quickly. He now exuded a dangerous aura. Clearly, Xiao Feng noticed Xiaochen as well. He was similarly surprised. However, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes, and his lips curled up in a cruel smile. Several people who saw Xiaochen started discussing in whispers. Xiaochen chopped off the metal puppet's head with one saber strike. This news had recently spread like wildfire, inciting a huge debate. A blue-clad bladesman on a seat suddenly smacked the table. A wine cup flew up and spun around quickly. "Hey, white-robed bladesman, you have been in the limelight recently. I'll treat you to a cup of wine." The blue-clad bladesman smiled coldly and gently smacked the wine cup. Immediately, the wine cup flew at Xiaochen at a speed that the naked eye could not catch. Indeed, it was as Ba Yan said. The people who came were all unruly. If one was weak, one would only be humiliated. The moment Xiaochen entered the second floor, someone immediately put on a show of strength. The wine cup that flew over from nowhere was very particular. It was not just at a speed that was hard to catch with the naked eye. All the wine in the cup was infused with the blue-clad bladesman's strong saber intent. If Xiaochen was not careful, he would end up making a fool of himself, regardless of whether he could catch it or not. If Xiaochen caught it, the wine filled with saber intent would have long since reached a critical point after spinning thousands of times, exploding upon contact. The explosion would have covered Xiaochen's entire body. Every drop of water was a lethal existence. Xiaochen could not avoid a sorry state. If Xiaochen could not catch it, the other party would say that he was not sincere. This show of strength was very powerful. The descendants of the great bandits were all sneering, waiting to see how Xiaochen would respond. Ba Yan narrowed his eyes slightly and did not make a move. This was a show of strength aimed at Xiaochen. If Xiaochen couldn't even pass this small hurdle, it could only prove that he had misjudged and shouldn't have brought Xiaochen here. Xiaochen smiled gently. It was unknown when the lunar shadow saber had appeared in his left hand. In the time it took for a spark to fly, the resplendent saber was unsheathed. Who? The instant Xiaochen drew his saber, a strong wind containing Xiaochen's saber intent howled out, lifting everyone's hair. First, Xiaochen used his strong saber intent to suppress the saber intent in the wine, stopping it from spinning. When the saber was completely drawn, the saber and the wine cup happened to be in a straight line. The wine cup stopped firmly on the tip of the saber. Xiaochen used his outstanding eyesight, strong saber soul, and fast speed to catch the other party's wine cup. The two looked like good friends that had not met for many years when the blue-clad youth tossed out the wine cup. The blue-clad youth tossed out the wine cup, and Xiaochen drew his saber to catch it. Their cooperation was tacit. This tense and exciting scene might sound complicated, but in reality, it happened in just an instant, in the blink of an eye. The wine cup stopped spinning on the tip of the saber, and the wine shot out. Xiaochen raised his head and opened his mouth. The wine flew in a beautiful arc and landed in Xiaochen's mouth. Not bad. This is indeed good wine. I'll return the cup to you. Xiaochen sheathed his saber, and the wine cup stopped hovering in the air. Then he wiped the wine off his mouth. Xiaochen narrowed his eyes, and the 60% comprehended saber soul in his sea of consciousness moved with a thought. Then, it attached itself to the wine cup and flew towards the blue-clad youth. The empty wine cup that flew over was like an unparalleled saber light, boundlessly sharp and containing a boundless saber intent. According to the etiquette of toasts, Xiaochen should have offered a cup of wine in return, not an empty cup. Naturally, Xiaochen knew about etiquette. However, he had another reason for doing so. The blue-clad youth put on a show of strength the first time they met. Honestly speaking, Xiaochen did not feel much resentment. This was how the world of cultivators was in the first place. The tallest tree in the forest would be destroyed by the wind. Xiaochen had long since calmly accepted this. However, he had his own pride. If the other party could catch this empty cup, he would be qualified to receive a toast from him. If the blue-clad youth could not catch it, then he would be sorry. Xiaochen would not even look at this person in the eye. After Xiaochen perfectly caught his wine cup with the tip of his saber, the blue-clad youth's expression became much more restrained. When the blue-clad youth saw the empty cup return, his expression turned grave. As the saying went, the layman watched the excitement, while the expert watched the excitement. The two's exchange looked very flashy. All the outstanding talents present knew what kind of danger was contained within these few simple actions. If it were a small perfection blue-robed emperor without much strength, that cup of wine from the blue-clad bladesman would have been sufficient to severely injure him. However, not only did Xiaochen catch it perfectly, but he even returned an empty cup to the blue-clad youth, testing the blue-clad youth's strength. The situation immediately became interesting. Liu Yang's grandfather is known as the Black Sea Saber Sovereign. He has always been the strongest bladesman of the Black Sea's younger generation. This time, he probably met with an expert. I wonder if he can catch the cup? All the outstanding talents turned their gazes to Liu Yang, wanting to see how he would deal with this. This increased the pressure on him. Liu Yang's thoughts raced. Many countermeasures flashed in his mind, but he rejected them all. It was not difficult to catch the empty cup. However, not only did he have to catch it, but he also had to catch it as beautifully as Xiaochen did, casually catching it. Otherwise, if he put in too much effort, he would end up at a disadvantage in this formless competition. In one breath of time, Liu Yang thought of a countermeasure. He stretched out his right index finger and gently tapped, catching the empty cup flying over perfectly. Wuxia. The wine cup spun rapidly in Liu Yang's hand. Every time it spun, it scattered a large portion of the saber intent that Xiaochen added to it. The wind howled, buzzing. The saber wind that Liu Yang sent out lingered on the second floor. It was like many treasured sabers humming endlessly. The sharp saber intent made everyone's expression turn serious. This empty cup that Xiaochen returned with was not simple at all. Similarly, Liu Yang's hand that caught the empty cup with one finger was not careless at all. The two of them were evenly matched as they fought back and forth. There is no wine in the cup. It looks like young Master Xiao says that it is good wine, but in reality, you look down on this Liu's wine. You are not even willing to return a cup. Never mind, this Liu will offer you another cup. I will make sure that your words are the same, no longer saying one thing and thinking another. In Liu Yang's mouth, the empty wine cup that Xiaochen used to test the waters became a new excuse. An excuse for him to make another move. Liu Yang spun the wine cup around his finger and smiled faintly. Then he suddenly let go, letting the cup spin in the air. It was like magic. The instant Liu Yang let go, an exquisitely carved white jade wine bottle emanating a cold qi appeared in his right hand. The wine that flowed out was like snow melting on a mountain peak, slowly falling into the wine cup. The temperature of the entire second floor plummeted. As Liu Yang poured the wine, it became increasingly cold. It was so cold that everyone felt their blood freeze. Strands of cold qi rose from the wine cup. An alluring wine fragrance spread out, shattering one's heart, and causing them to reveal an intoxicated expression. What wine is this? Why is it so fragrant? It must be a peak quality wine. At the same time, it perfectly matches Liu Yang's will of ice. The wine that he is going to offer is definitely extraordinary. Interesting. This is getting more and more interesting. The outstanding young talents discussed the unexpected clash between the two bladesmen. Everyone was filled with anticipation. When the wine cup landed on the table, it was filled to the brim. Lu Yang put down the wine bottle and picked up the wine cup, shaking it gently. A clump of snowflakes soared up from the wine. Countless snowflakes bloomed, and an ice phoenix grabbed the wine cup and spread its wings to fly away. This wine is called 1,000-year snow. I was fortunate enough to buy 10 bottles in the distant ice sea. I hope that I will not disappoint Brother Xiao this time. Lu Yang's gaze turned cold. The wine cup filled with 1,000-year snow emanated Lu Yang's cold and emotionless saber intent. Then he charged forward together with the ice phoenix. The ice phoenix, which was originally just an image, seemed to come to life with the support of Lu Yang's saber intent. The ice phoenix held the wine cup with its claws. Its eyes were cold and piercing, looking cold-blooded and emotionless. Just this cold gaze alone allowed others to catch a glimpse of Lu Yang's strong saber intent. The sudden appearance of the ice phoenix caused the wine cup to fly over much faster than before. As it spread its wings, it carried a sharp saber intent and a strong pressure. Xiaochen did not dare to underestimate it. He dodged and pushed off the ground. Then he spread his arms and slowly flew backward. He retreated. Lu Yang's lips curled up in a cocky smile. In the end he still retreated. However, Lu Yang's smile slowly froze. As Xiaochen retreated, his white robes fluttered and his long hair fluttered. Every strand of his hair, and every strand of his fluttering robes gave off a strong saber intent. Ding, ding, dang, dang. As Xiaochen's hair fluttered, the sound of the saber sounded like zither music. As Xiaochen's robes fluttered, the sound of the saber sounded like a heroic war drum. As the zither and drum sounded, Xiaochen advanced by retreating. He used his strong saber intent to resolve Lu Yang's sharp and unparalleled saber intent on the ice phoenix step by step. Xiaochen spun around and smiled faintly. Then he sat behind a table and casually put down the lunar shadow saber. Then he stretched out his hand to catch the wine cup. Xiaochen easily caught the wine cup of the ice phoenix, which had already exhausted its saber intent. The ice phoenix circled around Xiaochen's head before turning into snowflakes and drifting down. Looking at the wine cup in the wine cup, Xiaochen picked it up and drained it in one gulp. When the wine entered his throat, it felt incredibly spicy and had a strong aftertaste. It made him feel very carefree and delighted. It is indeed a good wine. Young Master Lu, you lived up to your words. Xiaochen praised Lu Yang as he put down the wine cup with a slightly flushed face, appearing somewhat tipsy. Lu Yang's heart sank, but his hands did not stop moving. He said coldly, "As the saying goes, drink 3 cups when you meet. Since it is good wine, then drink 3 cups in a row." Lu Yang, who was not convinced, filled 3 cups of 1,000-year snow with dazzling movements. Then he sent them to Xiaochen again. Good timing. Xiaochen was a wine lover in the first place. This 1,000-year snow suited his taste. He laughed loudly and picked up the empty wine cup. Then he infused his saber soul into it and knocked it against the table. Bang! Chapter 1176. The 3 incoming ice phoenixes shattered under Xiaochen's full force attack. As the snowflakes swirled in the air, Xiaochen downed 3 cups in a row. Not satisfying enough, Xiaochen put down the wine cup heavily. He felt his entire body relax, like he was drunk but not drunk. The more he drank, the stronger he became. As you wish. Lu Yang's expression turned slightly unsightly. He stood up, and his aura erupted. Lu Yang's hands moved so fast that no one could see them clearly. Cup after cup of 1,000-year snow flew out together with the ice phoenixes and snowbirds. In the main hall, all the geniuses were a little stunned. They did not expect a simple toast to be so majestic. Wearing the fleeting shadow gloves, Xiaochen looked at the dazzling ice phoenixes. His hands moved much faster than Lu Yang's. Cup after cup, Xiaochen seemed to be truly drunk. He could not help but laugh loudly in the wind and snow. A strong saber intent spread out from his body. As he laughed, his usual calm was gone, replaced by arrogance and indulgence. Pooh! Lu Yang's movements stopped. He discovered that his wine cup was empty. The 1,000-year snow he brought had already been used up. As for Xiaochen, He had already drunk more than 100 cups. No more wine? It's fine. I have some. As the saying goes, 1,000 cups are not enough when drinking with a bosom friend. Although young Master Lu and I are not bosom friends, we are both wine lovers. Since you have toasted me 100 cups, I will return 1,000 cups. Xiaochen put down his wine cup and stood up. His fine black hair fluttered in the wind like a waterfall. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The empty cups on every table on the second floor started to tremble under the influence of Xiaochen's 60% comprehended saber soul. However, these cups were not enough. The saber intent spread out, and all the empty wine cups in the hall started to tremble violently. What's going on? The many cultivators in the conflagration restaurant all had horrified expressions. They did not know what was happening. Whoosh! With a thought from Xiaochen, all the wine cups gathered on the second floor. There were exactly 1,000 cups, no more no less. All the 1,000-year flame that Xiaochen collected flew out of the universe ring. He casually waved his hand, and the wine bottle shattered. Golden wine flickered with a golden light as it sprayed out. Not a single drop was spilled, and all of it fell into the wine cup hovering in the air. Buzz! The wine cup shook slightly, and clumps of flame soared up. With the support of Xiaochen's saber soul, they formed a huge golden crow. The golden crow spread its wings, and a horrifying saber intent pressed down on everyone, making it hard to breathe. A startled cry rang out as the golden crow slowly flew towards Lu Yang, carrying 1,000 cups of 1,000-year flame. When Xiaochen looked at Lu Yang, this descendant of the Black Sea Saber Sovereign was already scared silly, his legs trembling slightly. Who among the heroes of the world dared to say that they would not be drunk after 1,000 cups of wine? Since you've toasted me 100 cups, I'll return 1,000. Do you dare to drink? The huge golden crow gave off a dazzling, golden light. Xiaochen's strong 60% comprehended saber soul made the golden crow's aura extremely sharp. Together with the 1,000 cups of 1,000-year flame, the golden crow not only suppressed Lu Yang, the descendant of the Saber Sovereign, but also caused his legs to go soft. Even the descendants of the other great bandits showed stunned expressions. They felt immense pressure, and their hearts pounded heavily. At the same time, they felt some lingering fear. Fortunately, the one who mocked Xiaochen was not them. Just thinking about the 1,000 cups of wine pressing down on them made them tremble in fear. After 100 cups of 1,000-year snow entered his stomach, Xiaochen felt slightly dizzy. He had not drunk so much in a long time. Xiaochen had not gotten drunk in a long time. He could no longer remember the last time he got drunk. Who cares about his identity as the Blue Dragon King? Who cares about being the descendant of the Qing Emperor? Who cares about being a meteor if he does not advance to Martial Emperor in 5 years? This time, I'll just get drunk. I don't care about anything else. I'll be arrogant and unrestrained. Xiaochen's hair and clothes fluttered continuously. His strong saber intent worked together with Xiaochen's. The tyrannical aura that he had kept hidden in his heart for a long time was unleashed without any reservations. Ha 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 ha. In the vast Black Sea where outstanding talents gather, there is not a single person who dares to drink with me. As Xiaochen held the wine cup, he blushed slightly. When he saw the frightened Lu Yang, he could not help but laugh loudly. His laughter was unrestrained, coupled with his drunkenness, making him feel very happy. The strange movements of the wine cups earlier startled the hundreds of cultivators in the hall of the conflagration restaurant. This was the place where the fiercest cultivators of the Black Sea gathered. However, when they arrived at the top of the restaurant and peeked at the situation on the second floor, they could not help being startled. Damn it! Who is this? How arrogant! How arrogant! Boundlessly arrogant! This is the first time I feel that this Lu Yang is so pitiful. Who would dare to accept these 1,000 cups of wine? This white-robed bladesman seems to be the person who caused a huge commotion recently. He is the one who chopped off the head of the City Affairs Hall's metal puppet. So it is him. I've heard of him before. I heard that Xia Yang, the descendant of the Thunder Fire Sovereign, won in a domineering manner. At that time, he really shocked a lot of people. Seeing Xiaochen's unrestrained manner, the cultivators who were peeking disgust in low voices, their eyes filled with worship. The strong reigned supreme, no matter where it was. On the second floor, Ba Yan blushed with shame. This Xiaochen brother was probably really drunk, daring to say anything. With one sentence he offended all the outstanding talents present. However, he is arrogant enough. I like it, Ba Yan said with a grin. When Lu Yong heard Xiaochen's words, his complexion alternated between red and white. He felt very ashamed. Earlier he had mocked Xiaochen, but Xiaochen did not return the toast. Now that he had 1,000 cups, Lu Yong regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. If Lu Yong had to face such a vast saber intent alone, he would not be able to match it. Don't laugh at my black sea for having no one. I want Zhao Feng to drink with you. Unexpectedly, the first outstanding talent to step forward was actually Jiang Feng, who had suffered at Xiaochen's hands once. Xiaochen's eyes were hazy from drunkenness. When he saw Jiang Feng step forward, he laughed loudly and said, I'll toast you 100 cups. Whoosh! As Xiaochen laughed, he waved his hand, and 100 cups of thousand-year flame immediately flew towards Jiang Feng. Every cup of golden wine contained Xiaochen's strong saber intent. As the 100 cups flew out, they were like hundreds of strands of sharp saber qi. Jiang Feng's face sank. He did not dare to underestimate Xiaochen. His figure flashed, and his hands moved rapidly. He received cup after cup and placed them in his mouth, directly drinking them. However, after drinking 30 cups, he stumbled and felt dizzy. The strong aftereffects of the thousand-year flame made him feel tipsy. Pusai. After drinking another 10-odd cups, Jiang Feng could no longer hold on. The movements of his hands slowed somewhat, and the cups of thousand-year flame struck him. His entire body was covered in wounds as he went flying. Only now did the crowd realize how strong the aftereffects of peak-quality wine was. How strong was Xiaochen, who could still stand stably after drinking 100 cups. I'll drink with you. I Lu Yin will drink with you. However, Xiaochen stirred up everyone's hot-bloodedness. With Jiang Feng taking the lead, they all stepped forward one after another. All of a sudden, the originally empty second floor was in chaos. All the outstanding talents of the Black Sea got drunk. The thousand-year flame was a peak-quality wine. Normally, drinking one cup would make one dizzy. After drinking dozens of cups, it was impossible not to get drunk. Amid the chaos, some people's eyes turned bloodshot. Feeling angry in their hearts, they drew their weapons and charged at Xiaochen. The first to attack was Lu Yong, who was being bullied the most miserably. He drew his saber, and his figure flashed as he executed a killing move. Xiaochen laughed loudly and gently drifted over. He picked up a cup of thousand-year flame, and drained it in one go before dodging. Then his figure moved swiftly and executed Thunder Dragon steps. He took 7 steps and ferociously chopped down the Thunder Dragon chopped together with the Lunar Shadow Saber. Bang! Lu Yong, who blocked with his saber, got knocked back by Xiaochen, crashing into the wall of the restaurant in a sorry state. Xiaochen held his saber horizontally as he stood on the table. Then he staggered and drank another cup. Smiling in disdain, he said, You are only SOSO, and you still want to sneak attack me. Attack together. When the group of drunk people saw Xiaochen standing on the table, their blood surged. They could no longer resist charging over. Good timing. Half drunk and half awake, Xiaochen felt free and unfettered. There was a kind of unbridled feeling that he had never felt before flowing through his veins. After the effects of the alcohol, this unbridled feeling was amplified 100-fold. Xiaochen laughed loudly 3 times and brandished his lunar shadow saber, charging over. Saber lights and sword images appeared, and mysterious phenomena appeared. The intense battle turned chaotic. Xiaochen weaved his way through the crowd, drifting away. Such a chaotic battle caused the eyes of the cultivators peeking outside the building to widen. A proper gathering actually turned into such a state. No one had expected it. What was even more unexpected was that the drunk Xiaochen let go of all his limbs. Even when fighting against so many outstanding talents alone, he did not seem to be at a disadvantage. Xiaochen's strong 60% comprehended saber soul even gave him the upper hand in the situation. The thousands of cups of thousand-year flame in the air had already scattered. The wine cups contained Xiaochen's saber intent. They did not shatter in this chaotic battle. Instead, they moved about as the battle went on. Xiaochen went completely berserk, releasing all the pressure. Occasionally, he drank a cup of thousand-year flame to fight the outstanding talents. For hours later, aside from the sturdy main body of the restaurant, the tables, shelves, screens, and all sorts of decorations had all shattered. The floor was a mess. The outstanding talents fell to the ground, unable to get up. It was unknown whether they were completely drunk or knocked out by Xiaochen. As he swayed, Xiaochen's white robes were dyed red with blood. Much of it was his blood, but most of it was the blood of the great bandit's descendants. As Xiaochen stood at the table, he drank the last cup of thousand-year flame. Then he looked around with his drunken eyes and discovered that no one was still standing. So he could not help laughing loudly again. However, this laughter contained some desolation, a loneliness that others would find hard to understand. The winds and clouds of the world come from my generation. Once I enter the world, time flies. The peak of the Emperor's Road is filled with boundless glory. Xiaochen laughed loudly and fell over. The empty wine cup in his hand fell to the ground with a clatter, shattering into pieces. When Ba Yan, who had been hiding at the side when the chaotic battle started, saw this scene, he quickly rushed over. When he saw the mess, he smiled bitterly and said, "I really should not have brought him here. The host of this gathering should be crying now." Even now, Ba Yan had not seen the host of the gathering. This was to his liking. It was best if he did not see him. Ba Yan carried Xiaochen on his back and prepared to leave this troublesome place. He accidentally chopped down all the outstanding talents. This matter had blown out of proportion. Chapter 1177. Whoosh. Just as Ba Yan carried Xiaochen on his back and prepared to leave, two figures flashed out of the messy second floor. If Xiaochen were still here, he would definitely recognize these two people. They were the two figures he saw at the city gates that day. One of them was Zhao Feng, the descendant of the Divine Eye Sovereign, who was ranked second among the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea. The other person was Sima Lingxian, the most famous and dazzling outstanding young talent in the Black Sea. This was especially so after Sima Lingxuan's adoptive father, Zhong Buoxiong, advanced to sovereign martial emperor. Sima Lingxuan's status soared, no one able to compete with him. These two were the organizers of this gathering. They had arrived long ago for the sake of waiting for a certain person. However, they did not show themselves. Who would have thought that the gathering would turn out like this? It was truly unexpected. The person they were waiting for did not show up. Instead, such a person showed up, brandishing a saber and beating up the crowd. "Indeed, it is you," Sima Lingxian said through clenched teeth as he looked in the direction Xiaochen and Ba Yan had left in. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes. When Sima Lingxian heard the name of the white-robed bladesman in the city, he had suspected that it was that Xiaochen. Now that he saw it for himself, he confirmed his guess. Unexpectedly, after not seeing him for 10 years, Xiaochen was still so strong. Compared to the Sky Dome Realm's 5-nation youth competition, he was still as elegant as before, inspiring an unparalleled feeling. If news of this scene spread, the name of the white-robed bladesman Xiaochen would resound throughout the entire Dark City, surpassing Sima Lingxian once again. It would be just like the 5-nation youth competition back then, when Xiaochen suddenly rose up and completely overshadowed Sima Lingxuan's glory. "You are coming to participate in the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting as well? Very good. I have waited for this day for a long time." A resolute expression flashed in Sima Lingxuan's eyes as he thought to himself. Only then did he slowly calm down. Zhao Feng, who was at the side, did not notice Sima Lingxuan's strange expression. He looked at the many great bandits lying on the ground, snoring loudly. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. Those present were all famous geniuses of the Dark City. To think that an outsider would cause them to be in such a sorry state. Of course, part of the reason was that the strength of these geniuses had greatly decreased after drinking the wine. However, Xiaochen's strength was undeniable. It could only be described with one word: powerful. At least, Zhao Feng thought that if he met Xiaochen, his chances of winning wouldn't exceed 50%. However, he was still confident that if he ran into Xiaochen at the Geniuses Summit, he would still be the one to emerge victorious. It's a pity that Huang Yun still hasn't shown up. That guy has been gone for 3 years. I bet he's already forgotten about the Geniuses Summit meeting. Zhao Feng quietly said. That's right. The purpose of this summit was to force Huang Yun out. Even though the descendant of the top pirate of the Black Sea, the Blood Shark Sovereign, had been gone for 3 years, he still remained a burden in Zhao Feng and Sima Lingxuan's hearts. Sima Lingxian said calmly. It is indeed unfortunate. However, the unfortunate person is you, Zhao Feng. What do you mean? Sima Lingxian revealed a mocking expression as he said indifferently, Haha, unfortunately, your strength has not improved at all. You will still lose to me this time. Did you not notice that that person is already here? Zhao Feng's expression changed, and the light in his eyes began to rapidly change. An azure whirlpool of light began to spin in the depths of his eyes. A blurry scarlet figure appeared in Zhao Feng's vision. The scarlet figure flickered and quickly vanished from his vision, quickly changing directions. Whoosh! A figure appeared on the second floor of the Conflagration restaurant. This figure wore yellow robes and carried a scarlet saber on his back. His eyes were slightly red. This was the Blood Shark Sovereign's descendant, Huang Yun. He's back. Some of the martial practitioners who were watching from a high vantage point revealed horrified expressions when they saw the yellow figure, appearing to be extremely panic-stricken. The Blood Shark Sovereign's descendant, Huang Yun. 3 years ago, Huang Yun was the absolute overlord of the younger generation of Dark City. After he left, Sima Lingxian and Zhao Feng slowly rose to fame. This was especially so for Sima Lingxian. He rose very quickly, already showing signs of surpassing Huang Yun. Now that Huang Yun returning before the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting, there would definitely be a fierce battle at this Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. First, there was the strong appearance of the white-robed bladesman, beating up the outstanding talents in a drunken state. Then there were the cultivators from the outer sea, stirring up trouble and eyeing covetously. Then, there were the veteran overlords returning to Dark City. It would be difficult not to look forward to this Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. After not coming for 3 years, the great bandits of Dark City seemed to have weakened again. Huang Yun glanced at the drunk outstanding talent lying on the ground and frowned slightly. He did not hide his disdain at all. Huang Yun raised his head and looked between Zhao Feng and Sima Lingxian. Finally, he fixed his gaze on Sima Lingxuan's face. The two of you are pretty good. 3 years ago, I predicted that you would rise up. However, I did not expect you to rise up so quickly. However, you have a demon in your heart. If you do not get rid of it, you will find it hard to advance. You are not worthy of being my opponent. Sima Lingxuan's heart sank. 3 years had passed, but this Huang Yun was still as strong as before. He could see through Sima Lingxuan's weakness with one glance. Sima Lingxuan's demon was Xiaochen. Xiaochen had killed Sima Lingxuan's father and once trampled on him. If Sima Lingxian did not defeat Xiaochen, he would find it hard to undergo a true transformation. However, a demon can be a shackle or a motivation. If you really think that, you will suffer a miserable defeat at the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. A strong fighting spirit appeared in Sima Lingxuan's eyes. He did not fear this returning overlord. Huang Yun smiled faintly, still feeling confident. You are not a match for me. In that case, how about I be your opponent? Just as Sima Lingxian was about to reply, a voice suddenly rang out on the second floor. A figure with a strong aura charged over, knocking away many cultivators peeking around before landing heavily on the ground. This person's eyes appeared somewhat chaotic, and his skin seemed like metal, flickering with a faint luster. Clearly, he was not of the human race or the fiend race bloodline, looking extremely strange. This was a mixed blood of humans and demons, possessing the bloodlines of both humans and high-ranked iron demons. It's him, Mo Ran. He is one of the cultivators from the outer sea, who caused the most trouble in Dark City recently. Since he is here, then the Ice Sea's Lung Xian and the Storm Sea's Ouyangfeng will definitely be here as well. This is the true gathering. This is just the beginning. The moment this person appeared, many cultivators immediately recognized him. He was the Human Demon Sea's young expert, Mo Ran. Whoosh! Whoosh! A strong wind blew, and 2 men appeared on the second floor one after another. One of them was tall and exuded a strong aura. This was the Storm Sea's Ouyang Feng. The other had a frosty expression, looking cold and emotionless. This was the Ice Sea's Lung Xian. The true gathering of outstanding talents had just begun. These words were not wrong at all. The 5 people here represented the strongest outstanding talents in Dark City. Including Xiao Chun and Ba Yan, who left. The strongest outstanding talents were all here. Huang Yun revealed a cruel smile and said, Dark City's Outstanding Talent Summit meeting has never benefited outsiders before. With me, Huang Yun, around, you will not be able to break this record. Is that so? Let's see how capable you are. The human demon sees Mo Ran smiled coldly as he charged over. Mo Ran's body flickered with light, looking like he had a body of steel. He was heavy and sturdy, and every step he took produced loud bangs. Mo Ran was like a running mountain. His aura was startling and unparalleled berserk as he punched. Huang Yun narrowed his eyes, and his slightly red eyes turned completely scarlet. He did not draw his saber, but also sent a punch. Bang! The 2 fists clashed, producing a loud ear-splitting sound. The 2 each took 10 steps back, and the entire conflagration restaurant shook continuously. Huang Yun, who carried the scarlet saber on his back, said coldly, You are merely SSO. With just this bit of ability, you cannot force me to draw my saber. The expressions of the Storm Sea's Ouyang Feng and the Ice Sea's Lung Xian changed slightly. Huang Yun was indeed somewhat scarily strong. As a bladesman, Huang Yun actually used his fist to receive Mo Ran's move. If Huang Yun had used his saber, the result would have been different. You had best not come to the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting half a month from now. Otherwise, if you lose too miserably, don't blame me for not showing mercy. The boundlessly tyrannical Huang Yun left behind these words. Then, a scarlet light flashed as he left the conflagration restaurant. How arrogant. Do you think that this is all my trump card? Mo Ran was not convinced at all. He pushed off the ground and charged forward fearlessly again. Now only 4 people remained. Sima Lingxian glanced at the other 2 foreign cultivators. A fierce fighting spirit blazed in his eyes as he said, Since you are already here, it would be a pity if you only exchange 1 or 2 moves. That is precisely the case, the Storm Sea's Ouyang Feng and the Ice Sea's Lung Xian said at the same time. A series of probing exchanges quickly took place in the restaurant. Everyone wanted to test each other out. However, no one would expose their trump cards. Everything would only erupt at the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. At this moment, Xiao Chun was completely drunk and unconscious. He did not know anything about what happened after that. He did not know that a few strong people had arrived after him. This time he was completely drunk. In the rock castle, Ba Yin carried Xiao Chun all the way to his courtyard. The sound startled Yu Bingyun, who was busy repairing the dragon-subduing platform. When Yu Bingyun saw the unconscious, blood-soaked Xiao Chun covered in wounds, her expression changed visibly. Her face turned cold, and a dense murderous intent flashed in her eyes. The appearance of that murderous intent startled Ba Yan. He found it hard to imagine that the pure and holy Yu Bingyun would have such a horrifying side. What's wrong with him? Who injured him? Ba Yan quickly explained what happened in the conflagration restaurant in detail, dispelling Yu Bingyun's doubts. He drank 100 cups of peak-grade wine in a row. Yu Bingyun's murderous intent vanished, and she showed some shock on her face. For a wine to be called peak-grade wine, it would have a strong after-effect. Even the blue-robed emperor could not drink too much. Drinking 100 cups like Xiao Chun was simply unheard of. Even Emperor Wu did not dare to do so. After that, Xiao Chun's actions were even crazier. He beat up the outstanding talents while drunk, fighting alone against so many outstanding talents. He was truly drunk. If it were the rational Xiao Chun, he would not have done such a crazy thing. That is what happened. Don't blame me for not helping out at that time. It was so chaotic. I was afraid that it would become even more chaotic after I went in. I'll leave it to you. Chapter 1178. After Ba Yan tossed Xiao Chun onto Yu Bingyun, he finally felt some relief. This Xiao Chun brother looked refined and refined. Unexpectedly, he went crazy. Even a battle maniac like him, who everyone feared, felt ashamed of his inferiority. Yu Bingyun felt slightly stunned. She wanted to call out to Bai Yan, but he had already gone far away. Then, she saw Xiao Chun stumbling, looking like he would fall over. She panicked and quickly rushed forward to catch him. Yu Bingyun looked at the sleeping Xiao Chun on her shoulder for a long time. Then she smiled bitterly. That's good. This fellow probably has not had a good sleep for a long time already. Since you carried me once, I'll carry you once as well. This place was still a long distance from Xiao Chun's bedroom. Yu Bingyun would not be able to bring herself to carry Xiao Chun over. Yu Bingyun said somewhat mischievously. Then, she copied Bai Yan and carried Xiao Chun to the bedroom. He is really heavy. After placing Xiao Chun on the bed, Yu Bingyun gently breathed out. Then, she looked at the bloodstains on Xiao Chun's face that had not been cleaned off. For some reason, Yu Bingyun recalled the time in the Blood Sword Sovereign's cave. Every time the Blood Sword Sovereign tried to stand up, he would vomit blood all over his face. Unknowingly, Yu Bingyun's hand moved down and touched Xiao Chun's face. However, she withdrew her hand immediately, like she recalled something. Then, she shook her head and brought over a basin of water to wipe Xiao Chun's face clean. Then, she called a maidservant over to help Xiao Chun change his clothes and clean his wounds. After everything was done, Yu Bingyun returned to the bedroom. She saw that Xiao Chun's eyes were still closed, showing no signs of waking up. Xiao Chun had truly fallen into a deep sleep. If it were in the past, even the slightest movement would startle Xiao Chun awake. However, this time, due to the aftereffects of drinking 100 cups of peak-quality wine, even after someone changed Xiao Chun's clothes, he still did not react. Xiao Chun could only be said to be drunk. After sighing, Yu Bingyun picked up Xiao Chun's blood-stained white robes. Then, she quietly closed the door and turned to leave. Xiao Chun had a dream. The dream was hazy but real. He dreamed of Seven-Horn Mountain, of his father who chased him out of the clan, of Heavenly Saber Pavilion, of Lu Ruyue, of Bai, of Feng Feishue. He dreamed of many people. He happily chatted with these people and felt extremely relaxed. But in the end he saw that those people were running as fast as they could behind him, but no matter how hard they tried, they could not catch up to him. He wanted to turn around, but an invisible force prevented him from doing so. The road ahead was a bridge, and on the opposite side of the bridge stood a door. On the door stood a blurry figure. However, Xiao Chun knew who that was. That was the Qing Emperor of the Dragon's Gate. He was an unparalleled and tyrannical existence who swept through the world, an invincible existence. Even though Xiao Chun had been dead for 10,000 years, he could still hear his name no matter where he went. Only he could trample on that emperor's gate. Xiao Chun had too many questions in his heart. He wanted to ask Xiao Chun why he came to this world. Why did Xiao Chun become enemies with the world, causing the Xiao clan's descendants to fall into such dire straits? Why did he leave such a huge mess for Xiao Chun? Pa! Suddenly the bridge broke. As Xiao Chun ran over, filled with anticipation, it suddenly broke, and he fell into a bottomless abyss. The rapid fall, the suffocating fear, and the indescribable loneliness made him cry out loudly. Xiao Chun suddenly opened his eyes, and sat up on the wooden bed in his bedroom. He looked around before reacting somewhat slowly. So it was just a dream. My head hurts. After a while, Xiao Chun's head ached. His tongue tasted bitter, dry, and tasteless. He felt dizzy and very uncomfortable. The side effects of drinking too much and sleeping too much forced Xiao Chun to lean back on the bed. Xiao Chun rubbed his temples with both hands as he circulated his energy to eliminate his fatigue. Soon, all sorts of discomfort vanished from Xiao Chun's body. Replacing it was a sense of relaxation that he had never experienced before. His body relaxed, but his heart felt strangely empty. Xiao Chun tossed aside the blanket and got off the bed. However, he stumbled and fell to the ground. How long have I been asleep? My body is not listening to me at all. Xiao Chun was somewhat at a loss. Then he tried calling out to Ao Jiao. However, he discovered that there was no response. Strangely, Little Yellow Feather and Ao Jiao were not in the immortal spirit ring. However, the connection between the item spirit and its master was still there. He was sure that nothing had happened to Ao Jiao, so Xiao Chun felt much more at ease. Xiao Chun got up and paced around the room. Then he stretched his limbs and let his law energy flow through his meridians, activating his qi and blood. As Xiao Chen's qi and blood stirred, his entire mind became empty. He entered a state of clarity that he had never experienced before. It was incredibly profound. This startled Xiao Chen. He knew that he had entered a state that all cultivators dreamed of, one with heaven. This state of one with heaven would not last for long. Xiao Chen had experienced it once when he broke through in the lower realm. So he quickly sat down cross-legged. Without any other choice, Xiao Chen used all this precious time on comprehending Instant of Glory. Instant of Glory was currently Xiao Chen's strongest martial technique. It was a martial technique that allowed him to execute everything he learned. It was already comparable to a medial-grade profound martial technique. Furthermore, its might was far from what a regular medial-grade profound martial technique could compare to. Currently, this move only had a rough outline. Xiao Chen had only scratched the surface, not even reaching small perfection. He absolutely could not miss out on this opportunity to comprehend one with heaven. The blazing sun, snowflakes, blue dragon, broken leaves, and all sorts of mysterious phenomena flew out of Xiao Chen's body, forming a profound picture. As Xiao Chen comprehended, more and more mysterious phenomena of martial techniques came out of his body. Four-season saber technique, myriad heaven divine fist, subduing dragon profound slash, thunder dragon chop, thunder dragon steps, flawless bright moon, thousand-year flame, thousand-year death. There were close to 100 martial techniques of various sizes. As time went by, Xiao Chen's understanding of Instant of Glory deepened. The directions this move could extend to were practically boundless. Eventually, it reached two paths, time and space. When the wondrous state vanished, Xiao Chen's comprehension came to a sudden stop. Although he had not managed to make a qualitative leap in Instant of Glory in such a short period of time, Xiao Chen managed to see the future path of this move. The state of time and space are too profound. It is not good to bite off more than one can chew now. However, I have gained a lot from this comprehension. With a thought, the instant Xiao Chen stood up, the many mysterious phenomena in the room stopped. Several mysterious phenomena disappeared, leaving only the bright moon, the night sky, and the winter snow, forming a picture of the cold moon and snow. Although the previous Instant of Glory was very soul-stirring and boundlessly grand, it was too chaotic in the end. There was no way to control it. Every time it was executed, it would exhaust a vast amount of law energy. Actually, there was no need for several mysterious phenomena to appear. It was not that the more mysterious phenomena one had, the more glorious they would be. Sometimes, to show glory, all one needed was a simple patch of yellow sand. Xiao Chen waved his hand, and the cold moon acupoint picture disappeared. Then he said indifferently, "In the past, the Instant of Glory was just wandering outside the door. This time, I have finally entered the room. I will not go astray." With a direction and the right path, there was no need to fear the long road or the rugged roads. One would eventually climb to the peak of Instant of Glory. Collecting his thoughts, Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes and looked at the neatly folded white robes on the table. Only then did he realize that he was only wearing simple sleeping robes. There was also a letter on the clear wind robes, signed by Yu Bingyan. Yu Bingyan left a letter. Did she leave already? If not, there would be no need to leave a message like this. How long have I been asleep? Xiao Chen's heart was filled with questions. However, Ao Jiao and Little Yellow Feather were not around at this time. Feeling a little empty, Xiao Chen opened the envelope. The elegant handwriting made one feel a sense of lightness. The contents of the letter were not long, only 200 or 300 words. However, the contents of the letter deeply touched Xiao Chen. "I wonder how much longer you are going to sleep for. It has already been 10 days, and you still have not woken up. I can only leave without saying goodbye. Actually, my destination is not the human demon sea. I want to go to the ice sea and the storm sea. I want to help the lunar palace find two things to refine a new transcendent divine weapon." In the Bloodsword Sovereign's cave abode on Blackwater Island, there was a moment when I really thought I was going to die. I even gave up resisting. Maybe you don't know it yourself, but on the verge of death, your voice was like a ray of light that shone into hell. I shed my first tear. You and I are very similar. We both carry a great deal of pressure on our shoulders. Compared to you, what I've endured is really nothing. You're much more tired than me. It's rare to get drunk in life, but you have to wake up after that. Don't give up hope. Don't indulge your arrogance. The world is unpredictable. There will always be a chance of survival. Let's not give up. I will wait for you to become a martial emperor. If one day, you need to undergo the tribulation of wind and fire, I will definitely come and help you. Take care. We will meet again if we are fated. XXX Yubingyun stay. XXX was a blob of smeared handwriting. Xiaochen couldn't see it clearly, but that wasn't the point. The main point was the concern in Yubingyun's words. It made one feel an inexplicable warmth in his heart. Unexpectedly, this mysterious girl had such a warm side. According to the contents of the letter, Xiaochen had slept for at least 10 days. That was a long nap. Xiaochen put away the letter, feeling somewhat disappointed and frustrated. Yubingyun's departure and the various scenes in his dream. Now that he thought about it, he could not calm down. He kept feeling somewhat empty, like he had lost or forgotten something. Looking at the clear wind robes on the table, Xiaochen held them in his hands. He could not help but recall the first time Lu Ruyu addressed him. After putting on the clear wind robes, Xiaochen pushed open the door and went out. He discovered that the entire rock castle was deserted. Aside from the guards of some important places, most of them had left. Xiaochen strolled around the courtyard, heading for the dragon subduing platform. Before he went to the conflagration restaurant, the dragon subduing platform had nearly been repaired. Since Yubingyun had already left, she should have already dealt with the final matters. When Xiaochen arrived at the backyard, he was somewhat surprised to discover an old man in sackcloth robes. This old man had an ordinary air and an extremely thick beard, looking around excitedly on the dragon subduing platform. "Who are you?" Xiaochen asked somewhat warily. This old man's appearance was very strange. Earlier, when Xiaochen sent out his spiritual sense, he did not sense anyone else in the courtyard. The hemp-robed old man turned his head and smiled. "You're awake. Don't be nervous. This is my home. If I wanted to take away your dragon subduing platform, I would have plenty of opportunities to do so while you were asleep." Chapter 1179. Xiaochen looked carefully. Although he could not make out this person's cultivation, he could still sense the aura of rock and flame. This person should be an older generation emperor, Wu, with a high cultivation in the Rock Castle. He was more knowledgeable and recognized the complete dragon subduing platform. Since that was the case, Xiaochen stopped thinking about it. When the hemp-robed old man saw Xiaochen, he looked like he had lost something, so he asked with a smile, "Young man, what's wrong? You seem to be out of it after sobering up." Xiaochen was not willing to elaborate. He asked, "Does senior know how long I slept for?" "Not that long, just about half a month. Unfortunately, I missed the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. It started today." Outstanding Talent Summit meeting? No wonder the people in the castle were not around. They must have gone to the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting to support the Flame Rock Castle's Baiyan. Strange. Why are you not reacting at all? Isn't it a pity to miss the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting? The hemp-robed old man asked. As Xiaochen walked around the dragon subduing platform, he discovered that Yubingyun had indeed finished repairing it. All he needed to do was leave a spiritual mark, and he would be able to use it. After hearing the old man's words, Xiaochen answered, "Naturally, it is a pity. However, it is already too late. Even if it is a pity, it is useless. I will take this dragon subduing platform and leave." "You are rather indifferent. I heard that you can drink a lot. Are you interested in having a drink or two with me?" The hemp-robed old man took out a bottle of wine. He did not put on any airs as he invited Xiaochen with a smile. Xiaochen did not know what Ao Jiao was doing. She had not returned yet, so he could not leave for now. There was no harm in drinking a few cups. After receiving the wine cups, the two, one old and one young, casually sat on the steps and clinked their cups. After a few cups, Xiaochen's mood slowly improved, and he spoke more with the old man. Their topics ranged from martial techniques to wine tasting, to geomancy, to ancient secrets. They talked about everything. The hemp-robed old man's horizon startled Xiaochen slightly. As the old man spoke, he inadvertently revealed many things that Xiaochen had not heard of. There were also some insights on the martial way that were even more direct, pointing out the flaws in the martial way. Xiaochen did not seem like an ordinary martial emperor at all. Even if he were a martial emperor, his knowledge would not be as broad as Xiaochen's. If he had not been there personally, he would not have been able to explain the secrets of several forbidden lands so clearly. He even knew the great forbidden lands like the back of his hand. For example, the hemp-robed old man knew the Mirage Immortal Palace, which Xiaochen was very interested in. The timing of this Mirage Immortal Palace's appearance is uncertain. Its location is also unknown. Even in the Forbidden Lands, it is considered rather mysterious. Unless it appears on its own, there is no way of knowing where it is. The hemp-robed old man took a sip of wine and continued. Unlike the heart of the ocean, where one can enter the immortal graveyard and the distant sea dragon grave at any time, there are many good things in there. However, there is danger at every step. If one is not careful, even a sovereign martial emperor might fall in there. Not just anyone dares to enter. Xiaochen felt curious. He asked, "What are the secrets behind the 8 great forbidden lands? After so many years, has no one figured them out?" When the hemp-robed old man heard this, he could not help smiling. It is not that no one has figured them out. It is just that no one dares to be sure. For example, this Mirage Immortal Palace. If I were to guess, it would be the temporary residence of a powerhouse from the ancient era. It is very possible that this powerhouse eventually advanced to martial god and left this abandoned land of ours. Xiaochen's expression changed. Is there really a martial god? Martial god is just a title. I am not sure if there is one or not. However, there are definitely existences higher than prime. Every sovereign martial emperor is very clear on this. It is just that we sadly live in this abandoned land. Every powerhouse of the martial way that left erased all traces of their existence. At this point, the hemp-robed old man revealed a clear trace of sadness and sorrow in his eyes. This trace of sadness and sorrow was something Xiaochen had seen in the Haotian martial emperor's eyes before. It was very similar, both expressing a kind of helpless rage. You definitely do not want to reach my level in the future and face the same sadness and helplessness, right? The hemp-robed old man suddenly asked seriously. Xiaochen did not understand. Then, the hemp-robed old man pulled him up and tossed him a medallion. So muster up your fighting spirit. Don't look so dejected. Don't give up on the path that you have been persevering on. Wine is not used to numb your fighting spirit. It is used to ignite it. You still have to participate in the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. Pa. The hemp-robed old man smashed the wine cup in his hand. Then, an irresistible tyrannical aura appeared from his body, making breathing difficult. The hemp-robed old man picked up Xiaochen and tossed him into the air. A spatial tear opened. Just as Xiaochen was about to resist, the power of space sucked him in. Then the spatial tear quickly closed. Flame Rock Sovereign, you old fellow. Where did you toss my Xiaochen to? Ao Jiao, who rushed back from outside, happened to see this scene. Her expression changed drastically as she exclaimed. When the hemp-robed old man saw Ao Jiao, his insufferably tyrannical aura immediately vanished. He smiled with narrowed eyes and said, "Big sister Ao, don't be angry. I just tossed him to where he belongs." "Don't call me big sister, you old man." The sound of a fist rang out. The livid Ao Jiao sent the hemp-robed old man flying with a punch. Dark City's Outstanding Talent Summit meeting was held once every 5 years. Every time it was held, it would be incredibly grand. This was especially so for this Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. There was the strong return of the Blood Shark Sovereign's descendant, Huang Yun, the rising popularity of the new expert, Sima Lingxian, and the sudden emergence of the 3 great experts of the Outer Star Sea. The intense battles were confusing, with climaxes rising one after another. Until the end, the victor would remain a mystery. This was because the peak experts of this Outstanding Talent Summit meeting were too close in strength. No one could make a judgment beforehand. Everyone thought that with Huang Yun's strong return, he would continue his dominance from back then, sweeping through everyone and becoming the champion in one go. Who could have imagined that Sima Lingxuan's rise would surpass everyone's expectations? Since the start of the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting, he had never been defeated. His momentum flourished, and his popularity soared. The human demon sees Mo Ran, the ice sees Lung Xian, and the storm sees Ouyang Feng also made everyone's eyes light up. They defeated Lu Yun, Zhao Feng, and the other popular outstanding youths of Dark City one after another. The only thing that the crowd found unfortunate was that the famous white-robed bladesman, who had beaten up the crowd in a drunken manner, did not come to participate. According to the rules of the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting, if a cultivator with the Outstanding Talent token did not participate, it would be equivalent to forfeiting. Given this, everyone was disappointed. This was especially so for the cultivators who had seen Xiaochen compete in drinking with the crowd at the Conflagration restaurant. They all felt very disappointed. These people had rushed over to watch Xiaochen compete, wanting to witness the white-robed bladesman's glory again. Who could have imagined that the white-robed bladesman would actually forfeit? If not for the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting being very eye-catching, he would have left long ago. Round after round of the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting continued. Soon, the strongest four appeared. Huang Yun expended a lot of effort to defeat Ba Yan, obtaining a spot in the top four. Next was Sima Lingxian. He defeated the popular Lu Yun, who also used the sword. The third spot went to the human demon sees Mo Ran. His opponent was Zhao Feng. This was a very dangerous match. After Mo Ran completely demonized, he nearly lost. This was because Zhao Feng had learned a medial grade profound martial technique. If Mo Ran had not grasped it well, he might have been the one to lose. This was a very dangerous match. The fourth spot went to the two young experts of the Storm Sea and the Ice Sea. This internal conflict was probably because the organizers did not want the experts of the outer seas to obtain too many spots in the top four, so they made them fight amongst themselves. Lung Xian's and Ouyang Feng's battle was exceptionally marvelous. It allowed the tens of thousands of spectators to experience the different performances of the Will of Ice and the Will of Storm, broadening their horizons. Ba Yan, who had already lost his right to continue fighting, watched very seriously, nodding his head repeatedly. Ba Yan glanced over and saw Huang Yun, who was resting with his eyes closed. Huang Yun seemed to sense Ba Yan's gaze, so he opened his eyes and smiled in disdain. This immediately enraged Ba Yan. If not for the rules, he would have gone up to fight again. Damn it. If not for the dragon scale armor I obtained outside, this old man would not have lost to you so easily, Ba Yan said unconvinced. Ba Tu, who was at the side, also said depressedly, Brother Xiaochen did not come. If he had come, he might have been able to help you vent your frustrations. It is really unfortunate that this fellow did not come. With his strength, he would not have any problems getting into the top three. He would definitely obtain a medial grade profound martial technique, Ba Yan said with a nod. Ba Yan nodded. Even now he still could not see through Xiaochen's strength. After all, Xiaochen had gotten drunk that day. Many outstanding talents had gotten drunk as well. Under such unusual circumstances, it was very difficult to judge a person's strength. However, Ba Yan was confident that Xiaochen would not have any problems getting into the top three. It might even be possible for Xiaochen to defeat this insufferably arrogant Huang Yun. The crucial thing was that this fellow had gotten drunk and slept for half a month. No matter how Ba Yan called out to him, he would not wake up. When Ba Lingxian thought about it, he found it both funny and infuriating. Sima Lingxian, who obtained a spot in the top four, also felt it was unfortunate that Xiaochen did not come. Trampling on Xiaochen in public had always been Sima Lingxuan's dream. How could he be satisfied with missing out on such a great opportunity? Uchi. A cold light flashed in the storm. Then, a sword light forced Ouyang Feng out of the arena. Finally, the final top four was decided. The Ice Sea's Lung Xian was more skilled, defeating Ouyang Feng. After the top four were determined, they all recovered and drew lots to determine their opponents. Then they returned to the arenas. The arenas of the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting would merge with each other after every round. After several rounds of battles, there were only 2 arenas left. When the final battle came, they would merge again, leaving only 1 arena. This Outstanding Talent Summit meeting slowly entered its climax. After the top 4, it would start with the most anticipated fight for the championship. Just as Sima Lingxian and the other 3 finished drawing their lots and walked up to the arenas, they bowed and prepared to fight. Something strange happened. Suddenly, a crack appeared in the sky above the arena. This crack passed through several spatial formations and forced its way in. This sudden scene caused everyone to turn their gazes to the crack in the sky. They had no idea what was going on. Just as the experts in charge of the city lord's residence were preparing to make a move, they received a piece of news. Their expressions changed for some reason, finding this inconceivable. Chapter 1180. Ka. The 2 arenas started to merge without any warning. Before everyone's eyes, they formed a vast arena that slowly rose up, looking like a huge dragon rising up, giving off an extraordinary aura. What's going on? Why did the arenas suddenly merge? The semi-finals have not started yet. This is strange. The experts of the city lord's residence did not attack the person in the spatial tear. Who exactly is it? Why is his entrance so tyrannical? The sudden change completely disrupted the rhythm. Such a phenomenon had never happened in the Outstanding Talent Summits that had been passed down for hundreds of years. At the same time, everyone started guessing who the person who opened the spatial tear was. Ba Yin frowned slightly. He thought of a possibility but could not be sure. The 4 people in the arena were also at a loss. They did not know what was going on. When the spatial tear completely opened, the figure inside finally appeared. A white figure drifted out of the spatial tear, appearing somewhat suspicious. The white-robed bladesman. The moment Xiaochen appeared, everyone immediately recognized him, causing countless cries of surprise. It really is the white-robed bladesman. Unexpectedly, he appeared in such a manner. However, he has already been deemed to have forfeited. Even if he found an expert and barged in, it would be useless. No matter what, Xiaochen's arrival caused a huge commotion. This was especially so for the cultivators who came specially for him. They were all very excited, exchanging words non-stop. The 4 people in the arenas all showed different expressions. Some were shocked, some were pleasantly surprised, some were unperturbed, and some were disdainful. The one who felt shocked was the human demon C's Mo Ran. Naturally, the one who felt pleasantly surprised was Sima Lingxian. Huang Yun was as arrogant as ever, not caring about Xiaochen at all. Lung Xian's expression was like a block of ice that would not melt for 10,000 years. There was no change in his expression at all. The one who came as the Blue Dragon King Xiaochen. In the direction of the platform, an old man with blazing eyes shouted at Xiaochen, who was on the platform. Xiaochen, who had been tossed over from the Flame Rock Castle, was still somewhat dizzy and could not react immediately. Hence, the old man had to ask again. The one who came as the Blue Dragon King Xiaochen. Hand over your outstanding talent token and verify your identity. Xiaochen had already guessed where he was based on the scene, and the 4 people in the arenas. When he heard the question again, he nodded and admitted his identity, then handed over the outstanding talent token. Very good. Your identity is verified. Hand over the forceful kill token that the Flame Rock Sovereign gave you. Forceful kill token? Is it this? Xiaochen took out a medallion that the hemp-robed old man had tossed to him. He had not looked at it carefully. Now that he looked at it, there was indeed the word kill written on the front and order carved on the back. When the tens of thousands of spectators at the scene heard the 3 words forceful kill order, their expressions changed at the same time, and they sucked in a deep breath. It really is the forceful kill order. Grandpa actually gave him this chance. Ba Yan's expression turned grave. He said in some disbelief, if Xiaochen fails, this old man will lose all your face. In the end, the city lord's residence, the organizer of the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting, was controlled by the 13 Great Bandits. The 13 Great Bandits provided all the prizes. Hence, every Great Bandit had some special privileges. The forceful kill token was one of them. As the name suggested, the forceful kill token allowed one to forcefully enter the Outstanding Talent Convention. It was given to the outstanding talents who could not make it in time for some reason, or miss the deadline. Originally, according to the rules, once one gave up, one would not be able to participate. However, it was different with the forceful kill token. One could enter midway. However, there was a price for using the forceful kill token. After using the forceful kill token, one could only fight for the first rank. If one did not obtain the first rank, it would be considered a failure. Furthermore, one had to take turns challenging others. One had to defeat as many people as there were in the arena. After one defeated everyone, one could turn the tables and snatch the first rank. Not only would one obtain the glory of the first rank, but one would also obtain the rewards for the number of people one defeated. For example, there were currently 4 people in the arena. If Xiaochen defeated all of them, he would obtain all the rewards for the top 4. However, if he lost to any one of them, the rewards for the other 4 would be doubled. The great bandit who gave Xiaochen the forceful kill token would pay for it. To a great bandit, the rewards were not something that would hurt them. However, they would lose all their face. In history, no one had ever used the forceful kill token and succeeded in breaking through. Everyone ended up in failure. Even now, no one had seen the forceful kill token for several hundred years already. After Xiaochen handed over the forceful charge medallion, he learned about its use from the discussions of the spectator stands. There were also some rules. For example, when there were fewer than 4 people, one would have to face the combined attacks of the others after using the forceful kill token. If the final champion was already decided, one could not use the forceful kill token. Xiaochen appeared at the right time. There were still 4 people in the arena. However, the restrictions still existed. The other side was still taking turns challenging others, so there was no time to rest. Xiaochen looked around at the 4 people in the arena. First, he looked at Huang Yun, the young outstanding talent with a scarlet saber on his back. He radiated pride from his entire body. After sizing up Xiaochen, he no longer paid him any attention. Then he looked at Lung Xian, the cold swordsman of the Ice Sea. From the start to the end, Xiaochen could not make out his true expression. The human demon sees Mo Ran took the initiative. When he saw Xiaochen's gaze, his lips curled up in a smile filled with murderous intent. Finally, Xiaochen's gaze landed on the grave and stern Sima Lingxian. Xiaochen felt very complicated about him. The hatred from back then had already faded away. The higher one stood, the further one could see. Both Xiaochen's breadth of vision and breadth of mind had undergone a great change. Now all Xiaochen pursued was the great Tao. When Sima Lingxian looked at Xiaochen, aside from hatred, there was also a fierce fighting spirit. It was like a flame was burning in his eyes. However, when Sima Lingxian saw Xiaochen's indifferent expression, he felt like this fire was burning in a calm lake, unable to truly burn. The forceful charge token is correct. Blue Dragon King Xiaochen, are you sure you want to use the forceful charge token? The old man in the city lord's residence asked from the platform after he checked the forceful charge token. Xiaochen raised his head and looked in the direction of the platform. Without hesitation he replied calmly, I'm sure. It was as Yu Bingyan said. It was rare for one to get drunk. However, after getting drunk, one would eventually have to wake up and face the situation. The words I'm sure immediately set the crowd abuzz. Everyone liked the unexpected to happen. It was just like how people hoped for a dark horse to appear in a big competition. Now that Xiaochen appeared with the forceful charge token, it was an exciting surprise. Very well, you can choose your opponent freely. Let's begin. Huang Yun and the other 3 did not shrink back at all. As they looked at Xiaochen, their fighting spirits surged. They did not fear that he would choose them as his first opponent. The others were also guessing who Xiaochen would choose as his first opponent. It should be the human demon sees Mo Ran. Of the 4, he should be the weakest. It is hard to say. Mo Ran's defense is the strongest. If Xiaochen chooses him, he will exhaust a large amount of law energy in the first match. It is not worth it. Then it should be Sima Lingxian or Lung Xian. Coincidentally, these 2 are swordsmen. A bladesman would have an advantage against a swordsman. Everyone had their own opinions. However, no one thought that Xiaochen would choose Huang Yun. After all, Huang Yun's strength was clear for all to see. I choose him. To everyone's surprise, Xiaochen chose Huang Yun. locking his gaze on this person. According to the rules, the other three left the arena. Everyone was a little surprised by this result. Wasn't it a little too risky to choose the strongest Huang Yun for the first battle? Or perhaps this white-robed bladesman was extremely confident in his own strength, and did not care who he chose or not. Everyone saw that when it came to choosing carefully, Xiaochen did not even think before choosing Huang Yun. If that was the case, then Xiaochen was too arrogant. You are courageous. Soon you will regret your choice. Huang Yun was clearly enraged that Xiaochen chose him in the first round. He suppressed his anger and said ruthlessly, "That's right." The white-robed Xiaochen appeared calm and collected. His expression did not change at all. He said indifferently, "I am Xiaochen. Please give me some pointers. In that case, please remember my name, Huang Yun. I am the bladesman who will make your reputation fall in Dark City. Fight!" Huang Yun shouted ferociously and made the first move. His figure flashed, and he drew the scarlet saber on his back. When the saber light appeared, blood immediately dyed the sky red. The scene was extremely horrifying. A berserk killing chi surged out from Huang Yun's body. Together with the saber light that dyed the sky red, this saber strike was incredibly strong. The first move he used was a profound martial technique. This Huang Yun is trying to end this quickly. Blood dyeing the world. This was the Blood Shark Sovereign's trump card before he became a sovereign personage. This Huang Yun already has some of the Blood Shark Sovereign's demeanor. The white-robed bladesman is in trouble. He should not have chosen Huang Yun. He probably will not be able to last even one match. The terrifying aura caused everyone to be shocked. Only now did they realize that Huang Yun had been holding back all this time. Even Ba Yan, who lost to Huang Yun in one move earlier, was flabbergasted. He clearly knew that the other party did not rely on the chaotic Ling treasure armor to defeat him. Xiaochen pushed off the ground and executed Thunder Dragon steps. Then he quickly retreated. His body moved like a dragon, flickering with electric light. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps. Soon, Xiaochen was forced into a corner. The scarlet clouds in the sky seemed to occupy the entire sky above the arena. Huang Yun's horrifying saber light was like a ferocious man-eating beast. It opened its maw wide, wanting to swallow up Xiaochen. Retreat again. Xiaochen, who had already taken 11 steps back, retreated to the edge of the arena. If he took another step back, his body would be in the air. If he fell to the ground, he would be out of the arena, automatically admitting defeat. Such a thrilling scene made everyone's heart beat faster. No one expected Huang Yun's true strength to be so ferocious. The moment he executed his killing move, he forced the white-robed bladesman to take 12 steps back and fly out of the arena. Ha 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 ha. You are only SOSO. Scram. Chapter 1181. Huang Yun laughed maniacally and soared into the air. Then he chopped down with his saber and knocked Xiaochen to the ground. Sorry, you should be the one rolling down. After taking 12 steps, Xiaochen had already pushed the Great Perfection Thunder Dragon steps to its limits. If he wanted to advance another level and take 18 steps, he would have to cultivate the Thunder Dragon steps to consummation. Xiaochen did not know how powerful the 12 steps would be when he executed the Thunder Dragon chop. This was because he had only taken 7 steps at most before. However, Xiaochen knew that the Thunder Dragon chop that took 12 steps could definitely defeat this blood dyeing the world. Whoosh! Xiaochen retreated again and again. Just as the yellow cloud was about to soar into the air, he suddenly took a step forward. As Xiaochen took this step, he instantly drew the Lunar Shadow Saber and launched the Thunder Dragon chop, which had accumulated a huge amount of energy. Thunderclouds filled the sky like an ancient thunder dragon waking up. It roared ferociously and sent down lightning, forcing back the unbridled scarlet clouds. A strange expression appeared on Huang Yun's face. However, he did not have time to think. Amid the tens of thousands of lightning bolts, that white figure had already charged over with his saber. Kung Chang! The saber lights clashed, and Huang Yun was knocked back by Xiaochen's saber. When Xiaochen stopped retreating, he knocked Huang Yun back with 1 step. However, this was not over yet. The place where Xiao Chen's feet landed happened to be where he was earlier. The moment his feet touched the ground again, lightning dragons soared out from under Xiao Chen's feet. Electric light burst out, and Xiao Chen moved like a berserk dragon. Xiao Chen walked forward step by step. The speed at which he advanced was 10% faster than the speed at which he retreated. With every step, a lightning dragon soared out from under Xiao Chen's feet, roaring ferociously at the sky and causing lightning to fall continuously. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps. He took 12 steps in a row. With each step, the number of lightning dragons would double. By the time he finished taking 12 steps, it was unknown how many lightning dragons were dancing around Xiao Chen. Lightning descended from the sky, looking even more horrifying. The scarlet clouds that dyed the sky red were torn to shreds, a tragic sight to behold. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber, and the dragons fell to the ground, no longer daring to act presumptuously. As for Huang Yun, who had been clamoring for Xiao Chen to get out of the arena, he was beaten black and blue. He flopped on the ground a few times before rolling off the arena, his body charred. Looking at the tumbling yellow cloud being defeated by Xiao Chen just like that, no one had expected this. The lightning fell, and the dragons fled far away. Xiao Chen stood upright while holding his saber. He looked around and fixed his gaze on the human demon Mo Ran. The person in the second match had made his choice. For some reason, when Sima Lingxian, who had been hoping to be the first to be chosen, saw Xiao Chen's gaze move away from him, he heaved a sigh of relief. He inexplicably heaved a sigh of relief. When he came back to his senses, he was immediately startled. He immediately extinguished this thought, and his fighting spirit was reignited. Mo Ran, who was chosen, laughed heartily and landed on the arena. Mo Ran's eyes filled with wildness as he looked at Xiao Chen. He said, "I thought that you would choose me last. Unexpectedly, I am the second. You probably do not know how horrifying the defense of my physical body is." When Xiao Chen heard this, he could not help but reveal an interested expression. He said, "How horrifying is it? No matter how strong your defense is, it cannot block endless attacks." "Is that so? In that case, feel free to give it a try." Mo Ran smiled coldly, and his skin, which gave off a metallic glow, started to change rapidly. Soon he could no longer feel any flesh on his skin. It had all turned into hard metal. His entire body turned into a body of steel, completely separated from his physical body. It looked extremely strange. There would always be something strange about the body of a human demon mixed blood, something very strange. Mo Ran stomped heavily, and countless cracks immediately appeared on the ground. The ground shook violently. When he moved, it was like a tall mountain raging, shaking the sky and ground. After Mo Ran stomped, he looked at Xiao Chen in a mocking manner, not showing any fear. Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes. The other party's skin had already turned completely metal. Furthermore, he cultivated a special body tempering cultivation technique, making this body of steel even harder. In terms of physical body, this person's was no weaker than Xiao Chen's Blue Dragon War body. In terms of defense, this person might even be slightly stronger. This was the natural advantage of his bloodline. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps. Xiao Chen took 7 steps. As a lightning dragon soared, he executed the Thunder Dragon Chop with a vast aura. Mo Ran knew how strong this move was, so he did not intend to clash head-on. He formed hand seals and executed a defensive martial technique, defending with all his might. Dang! The Thunder Dragon Chop broke through Mo Ran's defensive barrier, but its might weakened significantly. When it struck Mo Ran's body, it gave off metallic sounds. However, Mo Ran's skin did not move at all. The might of 7 steps was not enough. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows and took 12 steps. Then he executed the move that chased Huang Yun off the arena. However, Mo Ran had already seen this move before. He knew very well the might it contained. Xiao Chen did not think of breaking it or clashing head-on. He brought out his full potential, purely defending. Cassier. The defensive barrier broke again, and the saber light struck Mo Ran's body, knocking him back step by step. Sparks flickered endlessly on his body. However, Xiao Chen still did not severely injure his opponent, unable to injure him severely. Mo Ran smiled faintly and casually waved his hand, knocking away Xiao Chen's saber. When he tried to grab the saber, Xiao Chen quickly pulled it away. Even though Xiao Chen did not manage to grab the saber, he was not in a rush. He smiled and said, "It is useless. Unless you can perfectly execute a medial-grade profound martial technique, you will not be able to break my defense." Unexpectedly, he is the one who hid the deepest. To think that his defense is so monstrous. It is indeed monstrous. If Xiao Chen had not appeared and continued fighting, he might have been the champion. His defense is simply too strong. Even the martial technique that Xiao Chen used to defeat Huang Yin could not injure him at all. I really can't think of how to break his defense. Everyone had already seen Mo Ran's monstrous defense. Earlier, Jiang Feng had already executed a medial-grade profound martial technique, but he had not succeeded in breaking his defense. However, even now, Xiao Chen's Thunder Dragon Chop could not break the defense of Mo Ran's physical body. This was truly horrifying. This physical body is somewhat problematic. Do I have to use Instant of Glory? Xiao Chen's figure floated off the ground. As he looked at Mo Ran, who was covered in sparks, he entered deep thought. Since the other party's physical body is so strong, why is he just standing there and letting me hit him? Xiao Chen remained extremely calm. He did not lose his ability to think independently because of the other party's mockery. This was because Xiao Chen was very clear that purposely mocking the other party was part of the strategy. Mo Ran mocked Xiao Chen from the very start, saying that Xiao Chen would not be able to break his defense. Could this be part of the strategy? Mo Ran wanted Xiao Chen to attack continuously. Then, when Xiao Chen was completely fatigued, he would attack again to end the battle. If that was true, then Mo Ran's physical body should have a weakness. Otherwise, with such a strong physical body, Mo Ran would not fear Xiao Chen's martial technique. Then he could just chase after Xiao Chen and attack him. This fellow definitely has a weakness. It looks like the white-robed bladesman does not live up to his reputation. Is that all you are capable of? Mo Ran's lips curled up as he mocked Xiao Chen. Then he walked over step by step, closing in. However, Xiao Chen was completely immune to Mo Ran's mockery. This made Mo Ran even more certain that Xiao Chen's physical body had a weakness. That's it. A thought flashed in Xiao Chen's mind as he stared at Mo Ran's footsteps. From the very start, this fellow's feet had never left the ground. Mo Ran always had one foot on the ground. When Xiao Chen looked carefully, his feet and the ground seemed to follow some kind of pattern. A cycle of being one with nature. That must be it. Mo Ran's strongest defensive state requires his feet to be on the ground. Otherwise, Mo Ran must have some kind of treasure on him, like Xiao Chen's Neptune crown. He can only execute the water domain while standing on water. After Mo Ran left the ground, he would not be able to execute that strongest defensive state. What's wrong? Are you prepared to admit defeat? If you admit defeat now, I can let you leave with dignity. Otherwise, I'll make you scram the same way you made Huang Yin scram. Mo Ran's killing chi suddenly gathered and pressed down on Xiao Chen. Mo Ran's exposed skin flickered with a dazzling light. The visual impact was very strong. This was the body of steel that made ordinary people despair. You want me to admit defeat? Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said calmly, "You are the one who can't continue pretending, right? How did Huang Yin get down? You'll do the same." Chi. The lunar shadow saber spun around in Xiao Chen's hand before stabbing into the ground. When Mo Ran saw this scene, his expression changed drastically. However, it was already too late. The instant the saber stabbed into the ground, Xiao Chen's law energy poured in frantically. In that instant, the ground cracked, and a force burst out. The cracked ground turned into countless rocks, which were blasted into the air by this force. Mo Ran bore the brunt of the force, flying into the air along with the rocks under his feet. Whoosh! In the 1,000th of a second after Mo Ran flew up, a saber light as bright as the moon flashed. Mo Ran, who was not known for his speed in the first place, could not dodge at all. When this saber light arrived, Xiao Chen's 60% comprehended saber soul, which was at its limit. Although this flawless bright moon was fast, with the support of the 60% comprehended saber soul, its might was not weak at all. In terms of sharpness, it was even better than the Thunder Dragon Chop. Kasi. When this saber descended, Mo Ran shrieked miserably. A long, bloody gash appeared, nearly chopping off half his body. Blood flowed continuously from the wound on Mo Ran's chest. As he retreated, he left a bloody path on the ground. Mo Ran stood at the edge of the arena. His body wobbled a few times, but he did not get knocked back by the saber. How did you discover it? Mo Ran covered his wound with one hand, appearing extremely shocked. He had not expected his greatest secret to be exposed in just a few moves. At this point, the victor was already decided. Xiaochen was not stingy. He answered honestly, "In the next fight, there is no need to speak too much. If you overdo it, you will expose your lack of confidence." Chapter 1182. If not for the other party purposely mocking him, causing Xiaochen to doubt him, he would not have found the other party's weakness so quickly. Clearly, Mo Ran could not accept such an answer. He was stunned for a few seconds before he said, "Just you wait. When my Earth-returning origin art reaches the 10th layer, I will no longer have any weaknesses. Then, I will come back to take revenge for today." Right after Mo Ran spoke, he quickly left the arena while holding his wound. Then he left the city without looking back. Xiaochen looked at the other party's departing figure, and entered deep thought. He had already found the other party's weakness. In the end, when Xiaochen chopped down, he did not even manage to break the other party's ribs. This fellow's physical body was indeed ridiculously strong. If Xiaochen could fix this weakness, he would definitely be a difficult opponent to deal with. Xiaochen took note of this youth expert from the human demon sea. After winning 2 matches in a row, Xiaochen remained calm and composed. The spectators found his state incredulous. None of the people who could make it into the top 4 of the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting were weak. They were all dragons and phoenixes among men, geniuses among geniuses. However, Xiaochen came with the forceful kill token. It looked like he could easily send Huang Yun and Mo Ran away without any mercy. What excellent judgment. Perhaps he can really break the 10,000-year-old record and become the first outstanding talent to succeed in killing someone with the forceful kill token. It is hard to say. The further he goes, the more trump cards he will expose, and the more exhausted he will be. While it looked like he won the earlier 2 matches easily, I am sure that he exhausted a significant amount of his law energy. That's right. Furthermore, Leng Xian and Sima Lingxian are 2 great sword experts. They are not that easy to deal with. They are both aiming for the top rank. I wonder who Xiaochen will choose for this match. Based on their earlier performances, Leng Xian and Sima Lingxian seem to be about the same. If it were me, I would choose Sima Lingxian. Leng Xian's aura is too scary. I keep feeling that he is unfathomable. After 2 battles, the cultivators who did not have high hopes for Xiaochen now had a glimmer of hope. They all started guessing the direction of the future battles. After defeating Mo Ran, Xiaochen's expression still did not change. Xiaochen looked around at Sima Lingxian and Leng Xian before fixing his gaze on Leng Xian. A cold wind blew, and the temperature in the arena plummeted. Leng Xian said expressionlessly, "I am Leng Xian of the Ice Sea. Please give me some pointers." After greeting Xiaochen, Leng Xian's aura turned even colder. His gaze roamed around every corner of Xiaochen's body. The swordsman's eyes were as sharp as an eagle's. As long as Xiaochen showed any weakness, he would discover it in a breath's time and launch an attack at lightning speed. Xiaochen's heart tightened. When he saw the other party's gaze, he knew that he had met a difficult opponent. This opponent was probably more difficult to deal with than the previous 2. Whoosh! Whoosh! A cold wind blew in the arena. The 2 looked at each other, clashing their auras. They were not in a rush to make a move. Instead, they waited for the moment the other party lost his cool. Then they would make a move and gain the upper hand in one go. In a battle between a bladesman and a swordsman, the moment one made a move, the one who gained the upper hand would determine the outcome of the match. The one who gained the upper hand would not be able to turn the situation around. Of course, this was under the premise that the 2's cultivations were about the same. It was impossible for one to be perfect and flawless. Even if one stood still, one's aura fluctuated, one's state of mind fluctuated, One's thoughts fluctuated, and one's blood flowed at a steady pace. Without exception, there would always be an opening. A light seemed to flash in the two's eyes amid the cold wind. At the same time, they caught hold of the other party's small opening and instantly attacked. The two drew their sabers and swords at the same time. Before they clashed, the berserk lightning saber soul and the cold sword soul formed their own auras and clashed intensely. Metallic clangs rang out endlessly, spreading to every corner of the arena. It was like there were thousands of swords and sabers clashing with each other. Saber lights and sword images flickered everywhere. Lightning and ice clashed. Thunder roared together, tearing out countless bolts of lightning. The ice was merciless, and thousands of snowflakes drifted down. Dang! The two leaped up. Amid all sorts of mysterious phenomena, their figures flickered, and their sabers and swords clashed for the first time. The hum of the saber and the sword was like a dragon roar, piercing through the clouds and tearing apart the dark clouds. A strand of golden sunlight descended, looking like holy light. It focused on the instant Xiao Chun and Lung Xian clashed, forming a shocking scene. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The two retreated the moment they clashed, executing their strong movement techniques and quickly exchanging moves. Every time the two clashed, the sound of sabers and swords clashing would turn into clear dragon roars soaring into the clouds, tearing through the clouds and sending down a strand of golden light. Be it Xiao Chen's thunder dragon steps or Lung Xian's mysterious footwork, they were both extremely fast. Ordinary people would not be able to clearly see their movements. Only when the sacred light descended did the two figures solidify into a picturesque scene in front of everyone's eyes. Watching the two's intense battle was like looking at an extremely marvelous painting. As one flipped through the pages, they gradually entered a wonderful state. As the painting imprinted itself in their minds fluctuated, and their bloodlines swelled. Flawless bright moon. Boundless water moon. After another 100 moves, the two who were evenly matched, each executed a killing move and started an intense clash, trying to gain the upper hand. Two bright moons appeared behind each of them. Xiao Chen's saber light was the radiance of the bright moon when it was at its most resplendent, boundlessly tyrannical. However, Lung Xian's sword light was the serene, peaceful, and inseparable entanglement of the sea and the bright moon. It was much more complicated than Xiao Chen's simple tyranny. The two moons clashed. One side was the flawless moon, shining with unparalleled radiance. The other side was the reflection in the water. On the surface, it looked like a moon, but in reality, it was still a layer of cold water. After one move, the clouds in the sky, which were riddled with holes, completely shattered. A vast expanse of golden light poured down like a waterfall. Compared to the dark sky around them, the two people bathed in golden light appeared incredibly holy. Even though their clothes were tattered and their bodies were bleeding profusely, there was an indescribable aura lingering around them. It caused people to feel a sense of worship in their hearts for no reason. The reason for this was that the two of them were true bladesmen and swordsmen. They possessed the extremely rare saber soul and sword soul in this world. Xiao Chen stood upright while holding his saber. Drops of blood slowly dripped off the tip of his saber. On the other side, drops of blood also dripped off the tip of Lung Xian's sword. The moment the two executed their killing moves, they simultaneously injured each other. However, the results were very different. Xiao Chen looked at Lung Xian and said, "Your sword technique is on par with my saber technique. However, my physical body is much stronger than yours. If we continue fighting, you will be the one to lose." Lung Xian's complexion paled slightly. He tacitly agreed with Xiao Chen's words, but he did not intend to admit defeat. "I still have one more chance. If I cannot defeat you with this move, I will admit defeat." This Lung Xian before Xiao Chen possessed a unique level of attainment in sword techniques, and was very strong. If not for his saber soul slightly restraining the other party, and his physical body being much stronger than the other parties, Xiao Chen would not have been able to gain such a huge advantage in the earlier move. In the same move, Xiao Chen's saber light pierced through the other party's left chest. However, Lung Xian's sword light only opened a wound in his right shoulder, not even breaking a bone. Lung Xian's icy sword intent continuously corroded the wound, making Xiao Chen feel extremely uncomfortable. However, compared to Lung Xian's wound, Xiao Chen's was in a much better state. In terms of sword techniques, Xiao Chen believed that Lung Xian was no weaker than him. This was even because Lung Xian spent most of his time on his attainment in sword techniques. In terms of technique, Lung Xian might even be stronger than Xiao Chen. However, Xiao Chen held the advantage mainly because he had created his own flawless saber Dao. Unfortunately, Xiao Chen did not just cultivate saber techniques. His body tempering also stood out from the crowd, looking down on everyone. Unless the other party's sword techniques were much stronger than Xiao Chen's, Lung Xian would not be able to defeat Xiao Chen if they were evenly matched. Upon hearing that Lung Xian wanted to compete with him again, Xiao Chen's interest was immediately piqued. What kind of sword strike could make the other party feel that he could turn the situation around despite being at such a disadvantage? Xiao Chen said seriously, "Very well. I'll give you the opportunity to execute this sword strike. I will not drag this out." If Xiao Chen dragged things out, he would only need to exchange another 100 moves, not giving Lung Xian a chance to execute that sword strike. By relying on his physical body, Xiao Chen would be able to secure victory in this battle. Now if Lung Xian sent out that sword strike, victory would be uncertain. However, Xiao Chen did not care. He had never intended to participate in this outstanding talent summit meeting in the first place. It was just an accident, throwing the Flame Rock Sovereign into this whirlpool. Since he was already here, he might as well take things as they came. If Xiao Chen wanted to fight, he would fight to his heart's content. As for victory or defeat, Xiao Chen was already very indifferent to it. His mental state already far surpassed that of his peers. Surprise flashed in Lung Xian's eyes. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen agreed so readily. It seemed like Xiao Chen was even more indifferent to victory than Lung Xian himself. "Many thanks." Lung Xian bowed slightly, and said sincerely after a while of silence. Such a scene moved the expressions of all the cultivators present. They could not help but admire the breadth of mind of the white-clad bladesman. Even after gaining a great advantage, Lung Xian could still calmly take a step back, all for the sake of seeing the sword strike that the other party said could defeat him. In everyone's mind, there were two words: the demeanor of a king. Naturally, the one who felt this the deepest was none other than Sima Lingxian. Sima Lingxian kept feeling that he was on a completely different level from Xiao Chen. Even though their cultivations were similar, and their martial techniques and cultivation techniques were weaker, Sima Lingxian still felt like he could never catch up. But he had a feeling that he would never be able to catch up. An indescribable sense of despair and pain appeared in his mind. Sima Lingxuan's right hand, which held the sword, trembled. His left hand clenched into a fist, and his nails dug into his flesh. Scarlet blood seeped out. "You are too polite. You and I are both passionate people. There is no need to be so reserved. Please." Xiao Chen extended his hand and made an inviting gesture. Then he took a stance and held his breath. He did not dare to be careless when facing this unknown sword strike. Chapter 1183. Lung Xian quickly reached out and pressed a few acupoints on his wounds, preventing them from worsening. Then he took a deep breath and started to circulate all the law energy in his body. This sword move is called Million Mighty Ice Soldiers. It is a move that I created myself. It is not perfected yet, and even I cannot control its might. Brother Xiao, please be careful. Million Mighty Ice Soldiers? What a tyrannical name. They all say that your understanding of the will of ice is unique. In that case, I look forward to it. Buzz. Lung Xian's expression turned solemn, and the sword in his hand started humming. This humming was different from an ordinary sword humming. Everyone could hear the lofty sentiments of a powerful army amid this humming. The sound of 10,000 horses galloping resounded in all directions. A vast, hot-blooded killing chi continuously spread out from Lung Xian's body. It was hard to believe that the berserk killing chi came from Lung Xian, who looked like he did not have any hot-bloodedness at all. Lung Xian vomited a mouthful of blood on his sword. The humming sword suddenly stopped. All the aura in his body suddenly condensed, and he thrust his sword forward fiercely. After that, Lung Xian stood where he was and quickly brandished his sword. Sword lights dazzled everyone's eyes. In one breath, Lung Xian executed more than 100 different sword moves. With one sword move, 1,000,000 mighty ice soldiers swept through the 4 seas. Cold lights flickered, and absolute shadows drifted about. The moisture in the air froze under this sword move. These shadows turned into many illusory figures. Each of these figures held a sharp sword, and their long hair fluttered in the wind. The sword lights that Lung Xian sent out from where he stood shone on these figures. However, these figures became even more indistinguishable. Furthermore, the sword moves of each figure were different. It was like the sword lights that Lung Xian sent out from where he stood reflected on these countless figures. Sword images filled the arena without end. Although 1,000,000 mighty ice soldiers was an exaggeration, the vast and boundless aura made everyone feel the tyrannical aura of 10,000 horses galloping through the air. Xiaochen narrowed his eyes. As these boundless sword images charged over, they gave off a vast aura that could sweep through the world, making everyone feel extremely insignificant. No wonder this Lung Xian placed all his hopes on this sword move. This was indeed a horrifying sword move. His mind fell into a state of unprecedented nervousness. With a tap of his foot he spun backward. Every time Xiaochen spun around, a mysterious phenomenon would emerge from his body. In the first circle, a blood moon flew out. The red moonlight revealed a desolate feeling that reached the bottom of one's heart. The second time, blood-colored pale remnant flowers flew out of his body. The pale remnant flowers were like blood, filled with grief. On the third lap, a vast expanse of snow appeared under Xiaochen's feet, and he couldn't see the end of it. Azure dragon images flew out from the fourth circle. A white-robed bladesman surrounded the dragon images. The dragon roars revealed the tyranny of a bladesman. On the fifth round, Xiaochen stopped in his tracks. He turned around and slashed out with his saber. Before coming here, he had comprehended that the mysterious phenomenon that instant of glory required was not a blind number, but a precise combination. The mysterious phenomenon moved according to Xiaochen's will, forming different scrolls of glory to deal with all sorts of martial techniques. This was the true instant of glory that he comprehended after crossing the threshold. The blood moon, the pale remnant flowers, the snowy ground, the dragon images, the bladesman, and the 1,000,000 mighty ice soldiers in hot pursuit. When Xiaochen executed the final saber strike, everything instantly gathered and formed an incredibly glorious scene. Such a scene appeared before everyone's eyes. A blood moon hung high in the sky, boundless snow fell on the ground, and pale remnant flowers drifted in the air. A powerful bladesman soared into the sky, facing the 1,000,000 mighty ice soldiers alone. The moment Xiaochen executed such an incredible martial technique, it deeply shocked all the spectating cultivators. Gorgeous, glorious, tyrannical, and profound. This saber strike was the instant of glory. With this saber strike, what can the 1,000,000 mighty ice soldiers do to me? Lung Xian's sword strike was already an eye-opener. Unexpectedly, the will of ice could be used in such a manner. However, Xiaochen's saber strike toppled everyone's understanding. It turned out that the saber could be used in such a manner as well. State of space? That's not right. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm still far from it. I still have a chance. Lung Xian, who had stopped swinging his sword, was slightly startled. Then determination appeared in his eyes. Lung Xian pressed 2 fingers on his left hand against the blade of his sword. Then he ferociously sliced upwards, sending out a string of scarlet blood droplets. The glorious picture scroll was immediately stained with blood, and the desolate picture seemed even more miserable. The 1,000,000 mighty ice soldiers, who were already suppressed, trembled. Their bodies were stained with blood, as if they wanted to struggle free. Still not giving up? In that case, I will force back your 1,000,000 mighty ice soldiers. The tyrannical air of a king flashed in Xiaochen's eyes. He pointed with his left hand, and the painting suddenly shattered. The instant the painting shattered, strands of spatial power tore it apart and made it dim. However, with the support of Lung Xian's blood, these sword-wielding figures did not get torn to shreds. These mighty ice soldiers, whose might had decreased significantly, still charged at Xiaochen majestically. Lofty sentiments welled up in Xiaochen's heart. He held his saber with one hand and rooted his feet to the ground, not taking a single step back as he hacked down. Boom, boom, boom. Xiao Chen brought out his 60% comprehended lightning saber soul without holding back. Then he materialized the blue dragon battle armor and chopped down again and again. Thunder rumbled endlessly. With the roar of 10,000 bolts of lightning, the weakened 1,000,000 mighty ice soldiers were forced back. One man and one saber forced back 1,000,000 mighty ice soldiers alone. The countless sword-wielding figures forced Lung Xian to stop. He vomited a mouthful of blood, and the sword in his hand fell to the ground. I've lost. Lung Xian accepted his defeat. He smiled bitterly and bowed politely, admitting defeat. Then, he picked up his sword and silently left the arena. If Xiao Chen had not reached the threshold of instant of glory, allowing him to assemble the painting as he pleased, he would not have been able to block this sword strike. In the past, the instant of glory would not have been able to block this sword strike. Even now, Xiao Chen had not won easily. Lung Xian's law energy was nearly exhausted, and his body was riddled with wounds. Whoosh! The tens of thousands of spectators all stood up and cheered for Xiao Chen and Lung Xian, who left the arena. The reason was none other than that the final clash between the saber and the sword was simply too marvelous, inspiring excitement in everyone's hearts. They wished they could experience it for themselves. However, given Xiao Chen's current state and the fact that he still had to face this final battle, everyone could not help but worry. Unexpectedly, after the cheers ended, Xiao Chen's final opponent, Sima Lingxian, made a shocking decision. Huang Yun and Mo Ran and Lung Xian were defeated one after another. Now Xiao Chen, who came with the forceful charge token, only had to face his final opponent, Sima Lingxian. However, in Xiao Chen's current state, he had used several killing moves consecutively and fought continuously. Furthermore, his opponents were all outstanding talents of the same generation. His law energy was nearly exhausted, and wounds of various sizes covered his body. This was especially so for Lung Xian's 1,000,000 mighty ice soldiers. Although Xiao Chen had relied on his own strength to force back the 1,000,000 mighty soldiers, he was significantly injured as well. Mist covered his bloody wounds. With the obstruction of the ice sword intent, Xiao Chen found it hard to recover from his injuries. If Xiao Chen wanted to recover quickly, he had to stop and focus on removing the ice sword intent. After that, given his physical body, his wounds would heal in a few breaths. However, according to the rules of the challenge, Xiao Chen had no time to stop. He needed to drag his body to face his final opponent. However, under such a situation which favored Sima Lingxian, he unexpectedly said, "I admit defeat." Sima Lingxuan's expression was extremely complicated. His eyes filled with pain and his right hand, which held the sword, trembled. No one knew why he was in such a situation. After saying such a thing, Sima Lingxian suddenly chose to admit defeat despite holding the upper hand. It really caused an uproar and many people didn't expect this. The old man in the city lord's residence was clearly stunned for a while. After a long time he said, "Sima Lingxian, have you thought it through? Are you really going to admit defeat? In such a situation, even if I win, what is the point? What is the point? 10 years have passed, and I am still inferior to him. What is all my hard work worth?" Sima Lingxian seemed to enter a berserk state. His eyes turned bloodshot, filled with despair and pain. Ka. Suddenly, Sima Lingxian drew his sword and chopped it with his palm. This treasure sword that had accompanied him for 10 years broke. The treasure sword broke into many pieces, injuring his palm until it bled profusely. Such a scene stunned everyone. They did not know what kind of blow Sima Lingxian had suffered. The empty-handed Sima Lingxian looked at Xiao Chen with a complicated expression. Then he rushed off into the distance without looking back. Aside from Xiao Chen, no one knew what happened. As Xiao Chen watched Sima Lingxian leave, he felt sorrowful in his heart. He understood Sima Lingxuan's helplessness, despair, rage and pain. Back then, when Xiao Chen first left Mo City in the Sky Dome realm, he lost to Chu Chaoyan in half a move. That was also a kind of helplessness and despair. Xiao Chen was fortunate. In the final battle of the Five-Nation Youth Competition, he defeated Chu Chaoyan and got rid of his heart demon. From then on, he set off on an even more glorious path. However, Sima Lingxian worked hard for 10 years and made a name for himself in Dark City. However, when Sima Lingxian saw that he still could not defeat Xiao Chun, his heart inevitably crumbled and he fell into complete despair. This was how cruel this great age was. Sima Lingxian waited for despair. In that case, what awaited Xiao Chun was despair as well. If Xiao Chun saw the undefeatable Chu Chaoyan 10 years later, would he crumble like Sima Lingxian today? No matter what, the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting came to an end. Xiao Chun became the first outstanding talent to use the forceful kill token in 10,000 years. Xiao Chun obtained all the prizes for the top 4 places, a total of 5,000 essence stones and 3 medial-grade profound martial techniques. This Outstanding Talent Summit meeting was full of climaxes and surprises. All sorts of changes dazzled everyone. The white-robed bladesman's powerful charge and defeat 3 people in a row. Furthermore, he beat up the crowd while drunk and chopped down the metal testing puppet with one saber strike. This would definitely spread Xiao Chun's name everywhere. This was especially so for the final battle, with Lung Xian. It was an eye-opener, a sight that left everyone sighing in amazement. That moment of glory was something that all the cultivators present would never be able to forget. It would be forever imprinted in their minds. Chapter 1184. After rushing back to the Flame Rock Castle with Ba Yen and Ba Tu, Xiao Chun handed 2 of the 3 medial-grade profound martial techniques to the 2 of them. He only kept 1 medial-grade profound martial technique for bladesmen, and the 5,000 essence stones. Not to mention the importance of the medial-grade profound martial technique, just the 5,000 essence stones were already a bountiful harvest for Xiao Chun. With so many essence stones, he would have no problem quickly cultivating to peak great perfection blue-robed emperor. By the time he reached the human demon sea, his cultivation would have reached peak great perfection blue-robed emperor. At that time, he could go to the Thunder King's cave to search for the death fruit. The timing would be just right. After arriving at the Flame Rock Castle, Xiao Chun immediately headed to his courtyard. How could he not know that the hemp-robed old man was the famous peak expert of the Black Sea, the Flame Rock Sovereign? The moment Xiao Chun entered the courtyard, he discovered that Ao Jiao and the hemp-robed old man were currently working on the dragon-subduing platform. They were doing major renovations to the already repaired dragon-subduing platform. What are they doing? That's not right. How did Ao Jiao get together with this old man? Xiao Chun felt like his brain could not keep up. After sleeping for half a month, too many things had happened that he did not know about. Little Yellow Feather was the first to discover Xiao Chun. It let out a sharp cry and immediately flew over, landing on Xiao Chun's shoulder. Xiao Chun tossed an astral core to Little Yellow Feather. This made the little fellow very happy, flying around Xiao Chun. The hemp-robed old man raised his head and smiled. Big sister Ao Jiao, look who is back. Bang. When Ao Jiao heard that, her face darkened. She raised her hand and punched, sending the hemp-robed old man flying again. This startled Xiao Chun. He stepped forward and said, Ao Jiao, this is a senior. Don't mess around. Who knew? Ao Jiao smiled and said, Senior. Let's see if he dares to call me senior. Hee, ignore this old man. How is the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting? Did it fail or succeed? That old geezer sent me away, and without a word of discussion he threw you over. I was so worried. Ao Jiao asked out of concern. Changing to a smiling expression, she revealed a charming smile on her pretty face. Xiao Chun thought to himself, it looks like these 2 are old acquaintances. He relaxed and gave a simple account of what happened at the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. Ha! I was right? I told you not to worry, but you did not believe me. The hemp-robed old man walked over while laughing. He did not put on any airs, not showing the temper of a sovereign martial emperor at all. Ao Jiao's face darkened, still ignoring him. Half an hour later, Xiao Chun finally understood the relationship between Ao Jiao and the hemp-robed old man, the Flame Rock Sovereign. 1,000 years ago was when the Thunder King Sangmu was at his peak. At that time, Sangmu was already a famous martial emperor, known as the strongest person under sovereign martial emperors. Several sovereign martial emperors did not even dare to fight with Sang Mu, fearing that they would lose their reputation if they lost. When Ao Jiao accompanied the Thunder King to the Black Sea, the Flame Rock Sovereign was only a child of 13 or 14 years old, just starting to show his talent. The Thunder King was very discerning, immediately recognizing the Flame Rock Sovereign's talent. While he was in the Black Sea, he taught the Flame Rock Sovereign for some time. Although they were not master and disciple, they could be considered half a disciple and a guide. Later, when the Flame Rock Sovereign broke through to Emperor Wu, the Thunder King personally protected him, preventing his enemies from interfering and allowing him to successfully clear his great tribulation of wind and fire. The Flame Rock Sovereign returned the favor. When the Thunder King broke through to Sovereign Martial Emperor, he risked his life to help Sang Mu clear his sovereign tribulation. The two were like teachers and friends. In the Flame Rock Sovereign's heart, the Thunder King Sang Mu would forever be a senior and a good friend. He felt even more gratitude and respect. Hey, speaking of which, senior, why do you keep calling Ao Jiao big sister? Xiao Chen asked casually after he understood what was going on. When the Flame Rock Sovereign heard that, he guffawed endlessly. Then he said in a sorrowful tone, "It's a long story. Back then, I was also very miserable. Under someone's punches, I was forced to call her big sister. If I did not, I would have been taught a lesson. Just thinking about it makes me feel bitter. Now I call her that the moment I see her, and I still get beaten up." The Flame Rock Sovereign's aggrieved expression made Xiao Chen smile involuntarily. He roughly understood what was going on. After sleeping for 1,000 years, Ao Jiao still looked like a little girl. However, the Flame Rock Sovereign really became an old man. If such a person continued to call her big sister, he would definitely get angry. However, anger was anger. Xiao Chen could tell that the two's actions were mostly playful, reminiscing about the past. After playing around, the Flame Rock Sovereign revealed a serious expression. Then he looked at Xiao Chen and said, "I heard from Big Sister that you want to inherit the Thunder King's inheritance?" The Outstanding Talent Summit meeting ended. However, the discussions about the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting were far from over. All the cultivators in Dark City, from the most popular conflagration restaurant to the simple and crude wine stalls at the roadside, discussed this extraordinary Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. The reason was none other than this Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. There were simply too many things worth discussing. The magnificent martial techniques that the white-robed bladesman displayed, the unique comprehensions of the Will of Ice and the Will of Storm, the previous Overlord Huang Yun's unexpected defeat, and so on. Of course, there was also the most shocking scene. When Sima Lingxian held the upper hand, he suddenly forfeited and admitted defeat. Sima Lingxuan's strength went without saying. After Huang Yun left, he was the most dazzling of all the outstanding youths in Dark City. Many people had expected that the biggest highlight of this Outstanding Talent Summit meeting would be the peak showdown between the old and the new outstanding talents. However, such a dazzling outstanding talent, who received so much attention, suddenly crumbled after Xiao Chen displayed his strength. This was simply incomprehensible. Some people said that Sima Lingxian had the air of a gentleman and did not want to defeat Xiao Chen, who was in a terrible state. Others said that Sima Lingxian could tell that Xiao Chen still had trump cards that he had not used yet. If he lost to Xiao Chen under such circumstances, he would lose even more face. However, no one could guess what the truth was. The scene of Sima Lingxian drawing his sword and chopping it off with one palm was a ghastly sight. There had to be a story between Xiao Chen and Sima Lingxian that others did not know. However, if the person in question did not say it, others would never be able to guess it. However, the more unfathomable something was, the more it piqued people's curiosity. They could not forget it and discussed it endlessly. As for the main character of this incident, after Sima Lingxian rushed out of Dark City, he appeared dispirited. He walked forward in a daze, not knowing where he was going. He turned a deaf ear to the pointing of the passers-by, completely ignoring them. After 10 years of hard work and boundless glory, Sima Lingxian felt lofty and hot-blooded, wanting to wash away his shame. However, reality was cruel. Those who wanted to chase after Sima Lingxian could only see his back. He was as tall as a mountain, forcing people to look up at him. Blood flowed continuously from Sima Lingxuan's hand as he walked. He did not know how long he had walked, but the edge of Dark Island was already before him. The vast sea stretched as far as the eye could see. However, suddenly Sima Lingxian stopped. His chaotic mind suddenly paused. He saw a familiar figure at the edge of the island. That was an imposing figure standing in front of the sea. The vast and boundless sea did not seem like much. Only this figure appeared before everyone's eyes. Wuxia. That figure slowly turned around and moved 10 kilometers like he had teleported. Then he appeared before Sima Lingxian. Adoptive father. Sima Lingxian could not say anything. His voice sounded choked with emotion. This person was the newly promoted Great Bandit of the Black Sea, the Sovereign Martial Emperor Sex Buoxiong, Sima Lingxuan's adoptive father. Sima Lingxian thought about how his adoptive father nurtured him, how much he hoped for him, and how much he cared for him like a relative. Sima Lingxian choked with emotion. He felt very useless. Guilt filled his heart, and tears almost flowed out uncontrollably. When Zong Buoxiong saw this scene, his heart ached slightly. He patted Sima Lingxuan's shoulder, and did not say anything. Sima Lingxian could no longer control himself. He rushed forward and hugged Sima Lang, crying bitterly. Adoptive father, this child is useless. In the end, I did not manage to take this step. I have let adoptive father down. What kind of pressure did a 7-foot man have to endure to make him burst into tears? In this Black Sea that did not believe in tears and did not pity the weak, Sima Lingxian cried so sorrowfully. Zong Buoxiong did not say anything. He only released Sima Lingxian after he had cried enough. This vicious and merciless person, who killed all the cultivators of the previous Great Bandit's bloodline, revealed a benevolent expression in his eyes and a faint smile on his face. I know about the Outstanding Talent Summit meetings matter. At the last moment, you chose to let go. In my opinion, you did not use an unfair battle to obtain victory to numb yourself. I feel very gratified. If you had really chosen to make a move in that battle, in my opinion, you would not have been able to walk out of the shadow of hatred. Even if you became a martial emperor, you would not have been able to be conferred a king. Zong Buoxiong slowly said something that Sima Lingxian did not expect. Sima Lingxian gaped and said, Adoptive father, don't overthink. You did well. Don't place too much importance on this mental barrier. In everyone's life, there will always be some opponents who will make you feel despair. You will never be able to surpass them. What we need to do is not to compete with these people. Back then, your father did not understand, harming you and harming himself. Living in this world, we have to live for ourselves, not for our opponents. Sima Lingxian did not understand. He asked anxiously, Adoptive father, are you asking me to resign myself to fate? It is not resignation. Let me ask you this. In the past 10 years, have you slacked off? No. Have you given up on working hard? No. Have you felt that you are wasting your time, not improving at all? No. A few quick questions caused Sima Lingxuan's confused eyes to slowly light up. Now he answered with more and more strength. Do you still feel that you are useless? Sima Lingxian replied sullenly, No. Very good. In that case, let me tell you. Xiaochen swept through all the outstanding talents of the Kunlun continent's younger generation. Even the disciples of the primes lost to him. In the heavenly starry ocean, he defeated all the outstanding talents with one move. Do you feel that you lost unjustly? Among these people are the descendants of primes, the successors of the deity sovereigns, the disciples of the ghost monarch, the disciples of the corpse god. Every one of them is an outstanding talent. Zong Buoxiong enunciated every word with a heavy tone. Chapter 1185. When Sima Lingxian heard this, he felt like he was struck by lightning. Adoptive father, you never told me all this before. I never told you either. If Xiaochen does not advance to martial emperor within 4 years, he will have only 20 more years of lifespan, becoming a meteor and disappearing in a flash. Zong Buoxiong continued. When Sima Lingxian heard this, he was flabbergasted. This news was simply too shocking, completely unexpected. You feel that he is so strong that he makes others despair. putting you under a mountain of pressure. However, can your pressure be greater than his? Zhong Buoxiong continued. Look at him. He looks like he is about to collapse. Many people in the heavenly starry ocean are laughing at him. After the Qing Emperor, many people in the Kunlun realm are waiting for him to become a meteor. In terms of pressure, among the outstanding talents of this generation, no one can surpass him. Zhong Buoxiong continued. I can accept that your talent is not as good as his and your luck is not as good as his. However, don't lose to him in this aspect. A man has to cry unbridledly for once. Tears are the most precious thing in this world. You have to celebrate the fact that you can still cry. Some people can't even cry when they want to. Zhong Buoxiong's words were like a bolt from the blue, striking Sima Lingxian and startling him to his senses, freeing him from the mental barrier that had plagued him for 10 years. Unexpectedly, there were too many unexpected things. The person whom Sima Lingxian regarded as his lifelong rival had actually experienced so much in the Kunlun realm in the past 10 years. Adoptive father, thank you. Sima Lingxian had many things to say, but he did not know how to express them. He could only say thank you. Zhong Buoxiong smiled happily. He knew that Sima Lingxian had completely broken free of his mental barrier. In this age of geniuses, Sima Lingxian's future accomplishments would definitely surpass his own. Zhong Buoxiong did not have any children. Back then, when he saved this child from the hands of the Black Sea pirates, he knew that this was a gift from heaven. Ha! Come, father will bring you out to drink. Wipe away your tears and let's go celebrate. Naturally, Xiaochen did not know about Sima Lingxian's transformation. At this moment, he was in the Flame Rock Castle, receiving an exceptionally serious interrogation from the Flame Rock Sovereign. Are you going to inherit the Thunder King's inheritance? Of course he had to inherit it. Otherwise, how could he obtain the extinct death fruit? If he did not cultivate the life and death art and condense the heart of an emperor, he would not be able to break through the Great Perfection Blue-Robed Emperor realm and enter the Great Perfection Blue-Robed Emperor realm within a year. Therefore, when he heard from Ao Jiao that there was a death fruit in the treasure left behind by the Thunder King, Xiaochen agreed without much thought. In fact, he had already guessed that there was a hidden story. With the huge amount of resources left behind by the Thunder King, with Ao Jiao's concern for him, she should have told him long ago. In the end, it dragged on until he had to obtain the Thunder King's relic before he agreed to bring him to the location of the Thunder King's relic. Seeing Xiaochen nod, the Flame Rock Sovereign looked at Ao Jiao and asked, Big sis, you did not tell him what kind of responsibility there is for inheriting the Thunder King's relic, right? Ao Jiao revealed a complicated expression. Then, she shook her head and did not say anything. Indeed, the Flame Rock Sovereign revealed an expression of understanding. Then he looked at the confused Xiaochen and said, Big sis did not tell you. In that case, I'll tell you. The person who inherits the Thunder King's relic has to take revenge for him and find out who killed him. Xiaochen felt confused. There did not seem to be anything wrong with this. Since he inherited the Thunder King's relic, taking revenge for him was naturally reasonable. Brat, it looks like you really do not know what the consequences are for inheriting the Thunder King's relic, the Flame Rock Sovereign said with a grave expression. If it were that simple, I would have inherited the Thunder King's relic many years ago. The Flame Rock Sovereign showed some helplessness on his face. A clear trace of sorrow could be seen in his eyes. The Flame Rock Sovereign was a completely different person from his usual joking attitude. Given the Flame Rock Sovereign's current cultivation, he would not gain any benefits from inheriting the Thunder King's relic. What the Flame Rock Sovereign wanted to do was to take revenge for the Thunder King. However, the matter did not seem that simple. Hence, the Flame Rock Sovereign did not dare to make a move casually. Perhaps he felt a deep fear of this unknown enemy. The Flame Rock Sovereign said unhurriedly, You don't understand. You simply don't understand how strong the Thunder King was back then. When he advanced to Sovereign Martial Emperor, he could already challenge the Prime Thunder King. However, he only barely lost to him by one move. In the past, Xiaochen did not understand how strong the Thunder King was. However, when he heard Ao Jiao talk about the Thunder King, Sangmu lost to the Thunder King by one move, Xiaochen did not have a clear idea. However, the scene at the king conferral ceremony, where the Thunder Sovereign faced the heaven-abandoning deity Sovereign, and the heaven-punishing corpse god alone without any fear, showed how strong the Thunder Sovereign was. Even when two primes worked together, they could not suppress the Thunder King. In other words, if Sang-mu had not challenged the Thunder King but Emperor Forsaken or the heaven-punishing corpse god, the winner would definitely have been the Thunder King Sang-mu. The faction behind the person who dares to kill the Thunder King might involve a prime. Xiaochen felt like this was a blow to his head. The number of primes in this world could be counted on one's fingers. Including the primes of the oceanic world, there were no more than 2 hands. Primes represented the strongest people in this world. They had already touched the bottleneck of the peak of the martial epoch. No wonder Ao Jiao had not been willing to tell Xiaochen, not wanting him to inherit the Thunder King's inheritance. If the one who killed the Thunder King was a prime, then it would be impossible for Xiaochen to take revenge. Most of the primes of the Kunlun realm were gathered in the Kunlun continent. Back then, the Thunder King had been surrounded and attacked in the Kunlun continent. In that case, was the prime who killed him the deity race's Emperor Forsaken, the Donghua Ghost Emperor, or the heaven-punishing corpse god? When Xiaochen raised these questions, the Flame Rock Sovereign rejected them all. He shook his head and said, "No, the Thunder King is not dead. These people would not dare to make a move on Big Brother Sang-mu. He killed the bearer of luck of my human race. The Thunder King's revenge will not rest until he dies." Those who feared the Thunder King's revenge would definitely not make a move. That was to say, the few primes of the Kunlun realm on the surface were not the ones who killed the Thunder King. This was because these primes all had factions and clansmen behind them that they could not bear to part with. They would not dare to fall out with the Thunder King. In that case, if it was not these people, then who was the one behind this? The 18 demon monarchs of the deep abyss? The 18 demon monarchs were all as strong as sovereign martial emperors. The top few were even as strong as primes. There were detailed records of all these during the past few demonic tribulations. However, if the demon monarchs wanted to cross the barrier of the sky and enter the Kunlun realm, they would cause a startling commotion. If the demon monarchs really did this, then the cause of the Thunder King's death would not be a mystery to this day. Something that no one could resolve. Based on the current information, after the duel between Sang-mu and the Thunder King, the Eternal Heavenly Sword School's ancestor leaked the information, revealing Sang-mu's whereabouts. After that, Sang-mu fought with the mysterious cultivator with severe injuries, leaving behind an irreversible fatal wound. At this point, there was no hope for him. The news of the Thunder King's death quickly spread throughout the entire Kunlun realm. After that, the Thunder King went to the Phoenix's Passion Palace, a holy land, to ask for a lunar stone with divine nature to protect Ao Jiao. After that failed, he killed the holy scion of that time and forcefully snatched away the complete divine-grade lunar stone. After that, the Thunder King made arrangements for his inheritance and returned to the Sky Dome realm, the place where his legend began. Because the Thunder King was already a dead person, although he broke the rule that Emperor Wu could not come to the Sky Dome realm, he did not receive any blame or investigation. Who would care so much about a dead person? Whether the mysterious cultivator who left a fatal wound on the Thunder King was dead or alive was still unknown. Right now, the only key to solving this mystery was the Eternal Heavenly Sword ancestor. In the past, no one knew of the existence of this Eternal Heavenly Sword ancestor. They even thought that he had died long ago. However, Xiaochen knew that not only was this person alive, but he was also closely related to the Thunder King's death. There was still a chance. As long as Xiaochen could pry open this person's mouth, he would be able to learn the truth behind the Thunder King's death. I will inherit the Thunder King's inheritance. Even if the person who killed him will drag in a prime, I will not have any fear. Xiaochen never hesitated. Even if it was a prime, he did not fear it. He only hesitated because he wanted to figure out the crux of this matter and see if he could solve this mystery. Since the mystery could be solved, there was no need for Xiaochen to hold back. The Flame Rock Sovereign did not feel surprised at Xiaochen's choice. He sighed and said, "I knew that you would not hesitate because of this. However, you should not push yourself too hard at any time. There are still many people behind you who care about you. Worry about your own life. Don't make those people sad. As the Flame Rock Sovereign said this, his gaze wandered around Ao Jiao. The person he was referring to went without saying. Feeling the somewhat heavy atmosphere, Ao Jiao smiled and said, "Old man, don't try to boost his morale with your words. My Xiaochen might be able to become a prime in the future and sweep through the world, becoming unrivaled in the world." The Flame Rock Sovereign smiled and said, "Sweep through the world, becoming unrivaled in the world. This goal is really big. Even the current Thunder King is only shaking the world with his might." Whether it was a joke or a bold statement, sweeping through the world, becoming unrivaled in the world, this ultimate goal was deeply imprinted in Xiaochen's heart. 3 days later, Xiaochen went to the Dark Blood Pool to collect the final reward of the Outstanding Talent Summit meeting. Perhaps Xiaochen's physical body had already reached a certain level, and needed to rely on the Blue Dragon Body Nourishing Art to improve it. The Dark Blood Pool did not have a significant effect on Xiaochen. After coming out, Xiaochen took his leave in a low-profile manner. Then he left Dark City and headed for the distant Human Demon Sea. When Xiaochen thought about Yu Bingyun, who had agreed to travel with him, he felt somewhat disappointed. However, he still had to walk this path. If he wanted to sweep through the world, becoming unrivaled in the world, he had to advance to Martial Emperor in 5 years first. The white-robed bladesman left just like that. However, many cultivators would never forget his deeds for the rest of their lives. After this short trip to the Black Sea, the name of the white-robed Xiaochen would become a legend among cultivators thousands of years later. Whether Xiaochen was willing or not, his legendary journey would continue. Whoosh! The bright and beautiful sunlight descended. The sun that Xiaochen had not seen in a long time returned to his eyes. After flying at full speed for 10 days, the Flood Dragon War Chariot finally brought Xiaochen out of the Human Demon Sea. It was time to say goodbye to the lingering dark clouds, the most distinctive dark clouds of the Black Sea. During this short trip to the Black Sea, Xiaochen had gained a lot. He obtained the life and death art that the Bloodsword Sovereign left behind on Blackwater Island, and found the secret technique for breaking through to great perfection in advance, the Blue-Robed Emperor. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.